Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment where everything can change. This is where the final run back happens for each and every one of these teams. This is where the points matter the most. It's finally the second half of the season for Street Fighter League Japan. Fish is here with my man St. Cola to talk about week number 8. This is where we get to see all the strategies being put together after weeks of gruesome battles, point after point, match after match. These guys have been contemplating how to get the run back. And I gotta say, before we get into it, St. Cola, what can we expect for the second half of the season?
Bro, I don't know what we can expect. I'm gonna be real with you. Because of the fact that we have these run backs, because of the fact that we have these clapbacks, as you said, we're gonna have to see new strategies, new placements, maybe new characters. But, as you also pointed out, we're getting so close to that top spot on the dot. We're getting so close to that qualification that is coming up. We're getting so close to seeing what teams are going to qualify and what teams will be left behind. But, again, it's so hard to call what's going to happen because these teams are so close, even more so than last season, even more so than previously. We're going to see who is going to be these top spots once again. Today we have Good 8 Squad on the home side. On the away side is going to be Shinobi-ism Gaming. Again, this is the run back, but things are switched with it. On the away side, on the home side, things have been flipped that we previously have seen, and they have to stay fine for that 8 million yen, that whop on the dot. That is 5, 2, and 1 for first, second, and third place. That's a lot of change, Vicious.
Oh no, without a doubt. And one of the biggest things they can actually ever ask for is not only that 8 million yen spot, at least within the top 3, but the chance to face off against the champions of other Street Fighter leagues, with EU finally opening up its borders, as well as the US over at Capcom Cup happening in February. But as it stands right now, we still don't know who's going to make up in the top 6, right? We still have so many more weeks of gameplay left. And as Aru and Hamiko get it started as they usually do, I'm looking forward to seeing all of the support coming through, whether it's via tweets from both in Japan or even stateside, all over the world. I want to hear it from these Street Fighter V fans, because this is it right here. This is where we get to see all the down and dirty stuff that we've been looking forward to, man. And I gotta say, it's as exciting as ever to be a part of these run backs. Again, as you may or may not know, the home and away side, pretty important, right? There's going to be 3 matches overall, 3 sets. It's going to be first 2 out of 3 for the first 2, 3 to 5 for the third one. It's going to be 10 points apiece for the first 2, and of course 20 points for the last one. Super important. Let's get down to business. Who is going to be on the away side for Shinobi-ism Gaming?
First up is going to be Mochi the Prime. Ninja himself. Shinobi is a prime running that Cody to stay fine. He's been really dominant out here. Behind that is the Gravemaker himself, Fujimura, digging up the ditches for his competitors. Then after that is going to be the Vantage Point himself, Yamaguchi, sick with that Luke and possibly Ken, but we'll have to see. We'll also see the swanky ninja himself, Johnny, coming up on the deck with that G. What a team that has been so dominant. We talk about strong teams out here. It's well-rounded in terms of characters, in terms of players, and for that reason, they are in the second place position, right underneath, just right underneath Good 8 Squad themselves.
Still within earshot of taking it over Good 8 Squad, let's take a look at the most dominant team continuing from the previous season. It's the Hiroshima Predators starting things off as the captain. That's Gachi-kun with that patented Rashid. Pogara following up the Cosmic Boxer, of course playing the Boxer himself, being one of the big top point earners in the league, followed by the next generation of gamers for this Street Fighter World, Kawano, Evo champ of this year, and backed by the Wind Devil himself, Dogura, with Dictator by his side. Ladies and gentlemen, Good 8 Squad has been ever so dominant season after season, but surprisingly enough, they weren't the champs. They have something to prove, even more so this season, because they fell short to V6 plus FAV Gaming last season. But as dominant as they are now, they're facing off against a team who is currently on a hot streak. And I do mean a hot streak, right? Shinobi-ism Gaming has accumulated so many points. When St. Cola had mentioned how dominant their performance has been up until this point, we got to say it was so fluctuating, even in the early stages of the game. But in those last 3 weeks, man, I kid you not, the last 3 weeks we had a 40 bomb. 40 bomb after 40 bomb. Then finally in week 7, we finally see it slow down a little bit, but just by 10 points, right? In total, they made 110 points within 3 weeks. Unprecedented and impressive.
Very impressive. And you know what? Speaking of the lineup, I am impressed by that lineup. They're sending up Johnny. They're sending up the G pick for the first match of the day. And then after that's going to be Fujimura and then Momochi's Cody, which we would typically expect. I think Momochi Cody in the anchor position has been doing a lot of things been real dominant. Has been taking down a lot of the competitors and stuff like that, and being a big breadwinner. Fujimura Luke in the second place position makes sense, but Johnny switching up from what we saw previously when they had fought when they had fought, I'm sorry, Good A Squad, having Johnny with that G. Despite the matchups maybe not being so good on paper, there's something about that G that's so different, a little bit riskier, and it's so hard to predict what he wants to do. He'll go for risky options like, like the smash under raw, but at a distance where maybe it's hard to punch for you to call out. So I think I'll put people off their game, and I like that they're putting Fujimura, giving him a little bit of time to figure out what opponent's going to come his way and kind of short up his play. So we'll see if this is going to be something different. We're going to get that victory this time, if this order is going to help them out, and Johnny may be the key to that victory.
We'll see, though. I mean, there's definitely a plan up Good 8 Squad sleeves as a collective unit. I think they've well discussed this matchup. Johnny being in the away position actually leaves him super susceptible. I gotta say, like, there is an absolute purpose as to why Gachikun is going first in comparison to like what had happened prior. I think Johnny had actually gotten his W over Kawano's Colleen, so I don't think, obviously having that run back is gonna be ideal. But who else would you send up there, right? In comparison to like maybe like Dogura or even like Pukera. Like, I think both of those matchups are not going to be as effective in comparison to Rashid. Like, one of the biggest things that Rashid has is being able to get past like a certain amount of normals that G presents. I think Rashid has a decent time with some of the heavier normals. Also, having to force G to kind of block some of the incoming airborne normals, like jumping fierce is pretty good. It reaches so far down that it forces G to kind of block earlier than expected. So I want to see like those little tidbits come into play, but for the most part, I want to see some explosions in neutral. I want to know what happens when the fireball game gets too much for Gachikun.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially when that presidentiality gets leveled up. We're being able to kick through some of the fireball gaps like that and apply a lot of the pressure that Rashid wouldn't want to take up in the corner, because he doesn't have that EXCP as he used to. A lot slower this season. He does have the 3 frame to wake up with in terms of reversal, but G on his own thing, if he gets going flowing, it's hard to stop that sort of character. Even this season, even with V-shift and V-break, if you caught up in the corner, we're going to V-shift too. In the corner, your back's still against the wall, it's still going to fall. So someone like Johnny is going to capitalize upon that. And again, those risks, we've seen him find reward against the Evo champion previously when he had fought Kawano. So in the reverse of things, I think Johnny could definitely, put up a good fight against Gachikun. However, Gachikun does say that he knows me in and out. I wonder if he knows my birthday. So he's understanding that Johnny knows him inside and out. Johnny said, Gachikun and myself is a fateful match. I do know that now. So they definitely have played quite a bit, and Gachikun understands that he has been studied. But I think that with that idea, someone like Gachikun, who's such a smart player, who's been such a very studied and studious player, he's gonna have something new up his sleeves. We've seen that time and time again, whether it be more dive kicks and things like that, using view versus scout situations for fine punishes. He's gonna have something for this G player.
Yeah, I truly want to know what it is about Johnny in regards to his statement, like what he actually means in regards to like what he has in store for Gachikun, right? Saying he knows somebody in and out, it could be a plethora of things, right? Outside of context, it's like, what do you actually mean by that? Like, do you understand like the Rashid matchup thoroughly? Do you understand like Gachikun's tendencies? Because as a fan of watching so many of these matches, and as a fan of Gachikun, I'm trying to understand like whether or not there's anything like super obvious about Gachikun's gameplay that stands out for Johnny. Hopefully we can get some sort of interview, post-game interview after his matches. Granted, I'd imagine it has to be like a winning interview, because nobody wants to interview somebody after a tough loss. So we'll see how that plays out. If anybody has their opinions as well, be sure to hit us up on social media. But as it stands right now, I'm looking forward to seeing this interaction between Johnny and Gachikun, because there seems to be a lot more on the line for at least Johnny, the way that he's been phrasing things, and how much he prides himself on knowing his opponents and knowing the matchups.
I mean, considering the points that he's had, maybe not a lot comparatively to other players, but his record is spotless. 2-0 so far. One against Kawano previously, and then one against Tormeshi Sim anchor match. So he's got the W's to back it up, at least in terms of being solid out here in Japan. Obviously hasn't played as much as other players, but he still has a great streak. Gachikun also on his side doing very well, 5-1 in terms of wins and losses. His last match that he beat Mizuha in that first one that we see previously. So I think even if you understand how somebody plays, you still have to stop them. If you know the game plan, you still have to be able to stop that game plan. And someone like Rashid, someone like Gachikun, you can understand, oh yeah, he knows what to do like here and here, but to stop those buttons and that oppression, that approach, Easier said than done. Let's see who's going to get the win right here. First game, Good 8 Squad, Shinobiism Gaming.
How it plays out. So far, so good for Shinobiism Gaming's own Johnny. One of the biggest things we like to see is Gachikun get kind of pushed back and tested to the limits, right? We always talk about Gachikun as having some of the most stellar defense in the league. We'll see how that comes to, if that comes to fruition, actually. Johnny now taking the calmer approach. And committed to a heavier normal. Gachikun had the read initially, and we talked about that jump in. That's a very significant tidbit against the taller characters. You have to block earlier because of that jumping fierce.
Crush. Let's get some outside the corner. This is beneficial for the activation. Gonna go for the corner carry. Of course, the flip kick. And gets the grip, the command grab. Again, not having an EXDP is not so good for this character. You have to hold a lot of this pressure. You have to go from V-shift to V-break. But caught for the corner, the flip kick to catch him with the throw tech. Builds some bar, and that's the end. Johnny, all it takes is 1 or 2 good sequences to put it back in his hands.
That was a very courageous way to blow up a throw tech, I will say that, but it's something to keep in mind. I figured, you know, somebody like Gachikun would be pretty sturdy to not fall for that again, but at the same time, I feel like it's going to happen again. I feel like Johnny's going to make his way through and do it again, but we'll see how it plays out. Forward thrown out. Gachikun trying to gain the momentum, right? So inching forward towards G, and I love that chase down midair, trying to nullify the Hurricane with, or the Whirlwind Shot with the V-skill. Gachikun completely blowing up that option, and now we get to see G doing the business. Wheel kick to the corner. What's the mix-up?
Waits off the backboard, able to get that shallow light kick, back throw. Look at that activation. I was gonna come off the V-skill, flip kick. Johnny not trying to let off the gas. Let this man pass. Medium kick. That should be more than enough to do it. It doesn't have to spin the bar for the finish. Final round between the two.
Pretty explosive between both players. I don't know about all that. That's a little questionable from the side of Gachikun, right? We're looking at some of the best bufferable normals from G, but a good amount of damage starting things off from Johnny.
Yeah, that means less reversal, though. Option, remember that G does not have any reversal sort of option. Has to make it with CA if he wants to play like that. But Johnny's defense inherently is really good, blocking all these sequences, crouch, fierce. Just the raw upper. We talked about Johnny being explosive, going for these risks to find some reward, able to build up that presidentiality, and now you gotta be careful throwing out these fireballs. That flip kick could come through. Dash and throw.
Slowly but surely, Gachikun is trying to chop down the big fella. Taking bit by bit. Crouching heavy punch, still not finding a mark. Medium kick does find the mark. Little by little, Gachikun is still trying to stop down Johnny, but again, the light bufferable normals, so important. Chases down the V-shift, and Johnny gets the link afterwards. Watch out for the throw mix. And he was waiting. Gachikun was waiting as well. It's gonna be huge.
Does he one more hit for the super? Anybody's game. Raw activation.
Raw activation from Johnny.
Better find the finish. Johnny get the dive kick.
No punish.
No burglarize. No, not gonna happen here. Johnny wasn't ready for it, and that's a punish on the EX Eagle spike. There's no more bar to save him in terms of V-trigger. Just fade way through, and Johnny knew what to do. For him to stay so solid in these scrabble situations, woo,
it's insane because Johnny, I thought he was gonna run into the first Eagle spike. We talked about the hamburger method, right? We saw the very early jump Eagle spike, and it actually missed the target, like such a big target at that. I don't know if Johnny intentionally walked forward or not, but even if he did, that would catch him, right? I actually want to know, I want to see how that interaction played out. I hope they caught it on replay because I genuinely cannot believe that Eagle Spike whiffed.
Yeah, that's very strange, but his defense though, Johnny's defense overall, and able to route things back with the quickness has been very on point throughout this season. And this is this match, he's been really good about just like, okay, if this whiffs from this person, I'll get my hit. And the chase downs on the V-shift. We talked about the defense that Gachikun has. Knowing this dude inside and out, you can definitely see that he is ready, prepared for these other defensive options that Gachikun's going to put out. Down the forward, fierce with the crush, got the chase down. He's making the most out of these opportunities. If I get V-trigger, I'm going to take it to the corner and take as much damage as possible because V-trigger is not really about that full-on robbery these days. You're not killing people with V-trigger. You're taking them to the corner, you're pressuring them there, and do what you have to do. Johnny with the first one.
Super impressive thus far, and you could see how much Gachikun is slowly trying to like dwindle down Johnny's defense, but like I feel like it takes a couple of more consecutive hits from someone like Rashid to break down someone like G, where G just needs like a solid standing light kick or anything into like a smash under. But again, like it still could go either way. I think both of these players thrive on some of these single hits. Or can thrive on
Absolutely.
these single hits.
Rashid, if you're trying to get damage, you have to put him in the corner, and that's where you have to run your oppression. We'll see if that feature gets too socked up and locked up. But for G, as you pointed out, anywhere on the screen, he could be mean. Back fist, gets the anti right there, goes for the EX low, and has time to level up for the presidentiality. Back fist again, flip, kick, bad situation, stuns rising. B shift, oh, I'm sorry, B reversal, get out of there. No chase down. Johnny in the lead.
What is it about Johnny that is breaking down Gotch-kun so badly? I gotta say, this has been so stellar offensively, but I might have spoke too soon. I need at least need a counter hit sequence to kill Johnny now. D-reversal, not gonna get any success with it. Hey, oh my God, Johnny is so smart.
Wow.
My man Johnny is so smart, Sankola.
So I know you want to go for that plus rate situation, keep it meaty. But I'm going to keep this jab right here because it's not super meaty. There's a gap like that. Johnny sniffs it out. And look at him. As you said, so smart. In the distance, you're trying to anti-air me. No go, bozo. Hold this punish. And off the low. Once again, Johnny making the most out of these corner positions. EXDP lets it rip for free. Johnny wasn't expecting that option. This allows Gotch-kun to play for a little bit longer, but this is still set point for Johnny.
The big interruption, that is a counter hit. Johnny finds another opening, another mistake from Gotch-kun. Letting it slip through the cracks. I gotta say, every time he gets an offensive opening, he manages to drop it. Johnny again!
Yeah, but Johnny's not gonna drop this combo.
Forward. Gotch-kun has been trying to challenge Johnny so many times over, and it doesn't even look like Gotch-kun lost. Like he is laughing it off. I don't understand it. But how many times over has Johnny checked Gotch-kun moving forward in that round alone? That was truly impressive.
Continuously, and it felt like for free to just get those jabs off those fingertips. That's what happens with this character. You have those bufferable normals that lead to so much damage. So if you understand that as a Rashid player, as Gotch-kun, doing out those crouching fierce, but I felt like he was so pensive and letting any of those things whip, let the party system take the wheel, did not happen at all. And even the anti-airs, the confidence from Johnny to get those anti-airs, the back heavy punch, continuously the V skill, just checking all the approaches from the Rashid player, from Gotch-kun. And my man said, I know him in and out, and he definitely knew what it was about. He knew exactly what he wanted to do before Gotch-kun even knew, and that led us to a victory. Johnny, 2-0, another W. That's 3 for the young man.
And that's super impressive too. Like there hasn't been very many moments where Gotch-kun has kind of dropped his offensive pressure. I understand trying to like steal your turn away, but I feel like those moments need to come after you've conditioned your opponent to a certain degree. I think there was no conditioning Johnny because there hasn't been that many instances, right? I think for the most part, when it comes to like playing as Rashid, you're chopping away at somebody's life points with normals that are kind of like catching stray hits, like crouching fierce, maybe like standing fierce as a buffer tool. Sure, you bring him to the corner. That's where all the dirty work gets done. But for the most part, we haven't even seen Johnny get dragged to the corner at all. Taking a look at the stats as well, you know, as impressive as that is from the side of Gotch-kun, it didn't lead to the W. And look at the amount of throws. Let's take a look at the numbers on the bottom right. 1 out of 6 successful techs. Johnny was still able to get around Gotch-kun's offense despite actually being put in the blender, which is so common from Rashid players or Gotch-kun, right? There hasn't been enough of a story to tell about how good Johnny's defense really was. Granting him that first W, 10 points on the side of Shinobiism, looking so prime.
So now we have to see who's going to come up against Fujimura, who has been maybe not having the best run, but recently just doing work out in the CPT, gained some points here and there. That Luke play has been more solidified. I feel like when Fujimura picks up a character, he's looking for like what's the most broken thing with the character, what really sets him apart. Like back heavy kick for Luke, what he likes to focus on, like the optimality in these situations, and then he ups that neutral as he goes along. We'll see who comes up on the deck to fight him against Fujimura. I think I would send up, honestly, I'd send up, they're focusing on Pugera for a little bit. Looks like it is going to be Pugera. And I do like Pugera coming up against someone like Fujimura. I think someone like Pugera could definitely break down the wall that Fujimura wants to put up with like the back heavy kick and things like that with the better buttons of Luke, and understands that matchup through and through. I've watched Pugera play on his stream. He's fought a variety of Luke, so no matter what is presented to him on the menu, he's going to be ready for it.
Who would you actually put up instead of Pugera?
I wouldn't put up Kawano. rather save Dogra for Momochi. So that's so hard because there's so many good. I feel like Pugera got to go up right now. I feel like Pugera, what about you? I think Pugera has to go up next.
I was actually thinking about Dogura possibly going through it, because when you're talking about like reacting to like certain things that Luke can present, I don't think Balrog does a decent enough job to go past like the wave of sandblasters that could come his way. I think Bison can actually deter that a little bit better with V skill 1. But I think there's a lot of normals, without having to rely on charge too much, a lot of normals that Bison can use to kind of move forward against Luke's normals as well. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to like medium punches, like even standing heavy punches, or even Psycho Axe. Even finding versatility through like stomps to get past like fireballs too would be a pretty big deal. I think with Balrog, it's been a little bit too linear. People have kind of figured out how to play against his character. Like, sure, they're very sturdy on the ground. The normals on paper are super good. But what happens when those normals can't even like make contact, right? I think in regards to that matter, I think putting up Bison and Dogura would be a much better bet.
That's true, but man, Dogura, I mean, his defense has been so good lately. His spacing has been so good lately to disallow a lot of the -4 situations. I think you're right on a paper sort of situation, but the way that Pugera's been playing and shoring up his defense and becoming better at that aspect may help him out in this match. Maybe on paper, Dogura will be better, but there's another case where I'd like Dogura to just be in that anchor position, because he's been so dominant, having 6 wins so far. It'll take on someone like Momochi just to kind of seal the deal for the team if it needs to come to that, if it needs to become an issue. So it's also a case of putting these players, but then again, just the back and forth where you put these players, these characters, and stuff like that is going, like, they're sending up Pugera for a strategy. There must be something in their game plan to send up Pugera. Is it the right one? I do think on paper you might be right though. Being able to challenge this with the great normals of medium punch, standing medium punch, I should say, from Luke, back heavy kick and stuff like that preemptively, and challenging the -4 situations that happen from Balrog could be problematic. Pugera has to be in that distance, make things safe as possible, and deal with the damage. One button he's gonna have to utilize is Fierce against the fireballs at that right range. If Fujimura wants to throw those out to kind of lock down the pressure a little bit, he's to be preemptive, throw out a Fierce, get the crush, go in to get the win.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I think for the most part, you would look at, I think, Luke being the more scrappy character in regards to this matchup. I think there's a lot that Luke can do to kind of force some of these errors against Pugera. And I think Fujimura is one of the more crafty players to really be in the scene. I think he finds very creative ways to open up players. Like, that's why he plays characters like Ibuki, and he's had so much success with that character. The more mix-up heavy the character is, the more success Fujimura finds. But you're seeing somebody as super solid as Luke, right? I think there's not a lot of like mix-up potential with his character. I think there's just a lot of damage potential with his character. I think overall he's the real deal, right? He's the complete package when it comes to like playing sturdy and solid. But I don't know if that's like the way of Fujimura. That's not like his ninja way. You know what I mean? I think like there's a lot to be said in regards to like Fujimura's accolades and how he wants to perform against certain players. But I think overall, like, sure, his creativity is through the roof, and we saw how creative he was with like crush counter back roundhouse. Sure, we saw like the perfect flash knuckles back to back or whatever. But like, if you don't get those instances, like, how good is Fujimura in regards to piloting Luke? We'll see. We'll shortly find that answer.
Catch it. Balrog versus Luke. Pugera versus Fujimura. Let's see if Fujimura has something more with the neutral. We talked about that, you know, a little brief, like with a brief spot. Like, he's got to find more with this character. He's got to shift his game plan. I think he's got a little bit of that when he played Chun-Li, but again, didn't find as much success. Let's see if he can put someone like Pugera to rest. Round start. Pugera trying to walk his way in that fierce situation. Let's saw those fireballs as much as possible.
I already find the big opener too. Let's get the frame trap with the airborne reset. Good call out from Pugera. Not meaty enough for that dash punch. Get a full-blown punish from Fujimura out of the corner, but right back into it. Pugera layering it on. Crouching medium punch. Now backing away. Didn't get his opportunity to finish it up.
He's looking out for that medium kick activation. Here's Fujimura in the lead. Got those faster fireballs to make him fall. Stocks up with the beast. I like that. Taking the opportunity. Get more damage to the deck. But the V-trigger connects. Activation for Pugera. Trying to find an opening. He'll do so off the low. There'll be more than enough to do it. EX. Dash punch for the finish. Pugera taking his shots right.
God. This is blowing the man up. So we did mention the kind of like trickery that Pugera can have with Boxer. Outside of V-Trigger, we can see it kind of be a little bit linear, but at the same time, once that trigger is popped, we do see the mix of potential in combination of V-Skill 1. Look at how sturdy it's been up until this point. We do get the low forward explosion into EX Flash Knuckle for Fujimura, but still, we get Pugera being relentless. Does have the meaty dash punch this time.
Yep, stays fine. No back throw here. Fujimura looking for the activation off the sweep. Here comes the plus frames. Pugera just backing away. Look at that. He gets the lead. It says that this is where it's so hard to think about what he's going to do. Waits and baits a DP easily. Puts the up runner to take him down. And Pugera, with that defense, after he starts with the aggression, gets going and flowing, backs away for a more defensive play, and makes Fujimura have to come to him to get the win. We see the activations, but it's not enough. As you pointed out, without that mix, he has to find another way to open up people, and it's not happening. Pugera's defense has been shooting through the roof this season.
Round 1.
I think there's something more important about, or more impressive, I should say, in regards to his offense right now. His defensive capabilities has been pretty important. Fujimura not really able to throw out some of these shots that we were looking for, right? It hasn't been very Sandblaster heavy. He's actually been tit for tat in regards to normals. He wants to at least try to slug it out mid-range, but I would love to see maybe, yeah, the Sandblasters. Damn, the final tap was there. Who was talking about not being able to traverse past fireballs? That was me. Let me fix my face real quick. I forgot he had that.
To be fair, we haven't seen the tap in a while, so that was a lot of damage done right here. And again, the lead. But now, here's Fujimura dumping up the damage to the DP. Pushing to the corner. Fierce trying to find an interruption again. Bottom coming in. EX. KKB. This is looking a little bit more free than what I like to see, because Pugera is on set point expeditiously. Fujimura, again, not finding any openings. And honestly, there's not a lot of openings that Pugera's presenting. He's putting up the Fierce every so often, but not a lot of whip punishable buttons. And interruption again with the crush.
Oof. And it's been mostly Pugera getting a bunch of the counter hits with punishing Fujimura in places where he thinks he could get some of these strikes, but no. Pugera just standing right outside of the ranges and also planting a couple of counter hits. Yes, sir, right there. The counter poke, crouching medium punch has been such a big deterrent against Fujimura thus far.
So great right here for Pugera. Oh, whip too far out. I can't believe that actually whipped for that character. Usually able to get that EX knuckle, but just too far out, and Fujimura bleeding. Pugera leading. That activation, what's it gonna come?
So tricky, just in the blink of an eye, and not gonna be enough. And nice and easy. Pugera with a 2-0 in the rounds, 2-0 in the game. And it's been very unorthodox to see the player who's been defeated immediately go and laugh and smile about it, to be honest with you. But Pugera, as it stands right now, super dominant in gameplay, good 8 squad, doing the homework and getting their redemption in game 2. 10 points apiece for both teams.
Ears coming through. Once again, that range where you want to throw out the fireballs, and even some of these medium normals, checking that before it can come through, letting the Predator system take the wheel. And maybe that smile was like a grimace, like, man, Balrog is so cheap. But honestly, the way that Pugera makes it so happen, man, is so hard, man. It's hard to say because Luke is cheap too. But the way that Pugera plays is like he gets this big lead with that offense for like the first half of the game, and the second half of the game, he just stays lame. It's like, I don't have to give up my charge walking up to you. I could just back up a bit and just wait and be a wall of buttons and get my charge going and flowing and put you in the corner and make things unfortunate. So Pugera taking that very dominantly. Fujimura said that Pugera thought he was coming. This is previously. And Johnny wants to like to follow his win. I guess he's not going to get that win right now. We didn't even see anything come from Pugera's side in terms of what he was saying for the interview, at least from our side. I would have loved to see if Pugera had said something. But, man, he definitely said something in that match. 2-0 on Fujimura.
Super impressive to watch, and again, it was one of those moments where I had a little bit of lackluster shakiness in terms of faith in regards to like Pugera's gameplay thus far. Like his stats overall have been good, but these last couple of weeks he's been like super shaky in regards to consistency. So going into that, I was 1,000% worried. Right, that's not the number you're going to see though in these stats. Right, 0 for 0 all across the board. Majority of these stats coming in for Pugera. Anti-airs obviously kept it grounded the entire time. EXDPs, Bob doesn't have that. No invincible reversals. You know, same could be said with Fujimura. We actually didn't get to see an EXDP bust out from him. We actually didn't get to see any anti-airs. It was completely solid in the ground game. As for the grabs and throws, every single one was tech from the side of Pugera. Can't say the same for Fujimura. So that's pretty intimidating to say. I think, you know, there was a lot in regards to like how many throws were successfully teched. I think that just shows that Pugera did a great job of getting his mix going up close, right? There's so many frame traps that Ball can present, and also is super intimidating in regards to the strike throw game. Not being able to tech all of them should really be a big message in regards to how powerful Pagura's offense really is.
Definitely showcased that W right there. Doing a fantastic job in the match. Now, looks like it's going to be Dogura going up against Momochi. This is what I wanted to see. I think in reverse, I think maybe Dogura would have did just fine, honestly, against Fujimura. Pagura was obviously studying that match, but Dogura going up as the anchor match, I mean, it makes sense to me. He's been winning a lot of these anchor matches, and even these first-to-ones too as well. And last time we saw him, he beat Higuchi in that first-to-one situation. He has 6 for 6 in terms of wins in matches, so he has a perfect record. I think he's the only person in the league with a perfect record right now, and so Gucci's is off the table after that last loss. But someone like Dogura has been so dominant, and I like to see this dominant player go up against someone who's also been pretty dominant himself. This is Momochi, who's been only lost 1 match so far out of all of his wins, so he's gonna get it in. And what do you think about this matchup, Bison versus Cody?
This one's kind of a tough one. I think this isn't like a matchup we've seen in regards to like both of these teams. I think this is going to be their first time playing off against each other. But I think for the most part, I think Cody does a pretty decent job utilizing V-Skill 2 to get around some of the things that Bison presents. Like you can't get like a really big frame trap off of like maybe like a Psycho Axe. So you would do like maybe if Psycho Axe blocks. This is just a very, very short example. If there's any sort of advancing normal that Bison wants to utilize against Cody that has like a long startup, I know for a fact that Momochi can react to it and sway past it. Even if he does block something where it puts Cody at a disadvantage, the next move he could possibly sway. It's like an acting V shift without actually having the bar. So I think in that regard, there's a lot that Cody can do, in particular against this matchup. But outside of that, I think Bison's got a lot of tools to kind of play the neutral game out, not having to risk any of those moments. So I think it's going to be, I think as it stands right now, I think Cody might have the better half of this matchup, but that's just like outside looking in. I would love to finally get the opinions, maybe at like a Capcom Cup, to be like, all right, so towards the end of the game's life cycle, how did you feel Bison versus Cody went? Because again, this is like the only season where we really get to see Cody players shine. And no pun intended, the only time we actually saw Cody players in the States were like shine. And last Cody, of course. Or not last Cody, sorry. Hoji.
And Hoji, yeah. I agree. I think there was a time where like when this season began, it was like still felt like Cody lost slightly, but nowadays with the sway and play and people figuring out how to stay more stable up in the neutral because of V-Trigger 1 and even V-Trigger 2 in some cases, it feels like it's gotten a lot more even. So, and that doesn't even take into account the playstyles. Like, it doesn't take into account to more patient Bisons or more aggressive Codys and things like that. So we'll have to get a little bit more data out here. This is the final match between these two teams, possibly. Momochi going up against Dogura.
Let's see how this plays out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pretty important match for both of these teams. They need as many points as they can to get themselves secured in the top 2 spots going into the playoffs. Here we go. The final match is the anchor match between Dogura and Momochi, between Good 8 Squad and Shinobiism Gaming.
I like the scissor kicks and blasts and things like that in this match as Bison gets stopped preemptively. The Zonks from coming through. So there's the fadeaway play, gets a throw. Those hands out for a little bit too long. Final fight, Tarakawa puts him in the corner and the throw. Grip him up.
Oh, that's such an answer to the roundhouse calling Dogura's medium punch. I would love to see it occupying that space as well, that medium kick. Putting out a lot of range for Cody. And just full anticipation from Momochi, knowing full well what Dogura wants to do before he does it.
So with the light, the side switch with that Psycho Crusher. This is good. At least for Dogura to get outside that corner. The side switch right here again. That would be up in the corner, placed against the wall. Definitely don't want to be there against Bison. The plus frames, down 4 fears. Hard to deal with. Patience.
Again, being able to occupy that space. There's been so much that Cody can do in this matchup. Deter Bison players from moving in. There we see it. Right then and there.
Dominant round right here for Momochi. Able to stay solid. Blocks the EX. EX Song back out for the plus frames. Fights with that pressure. Nice anti. You see him walk back to get the right sort of area for the anti-air because there's above that crouch fierce, a little bit beyond that, the cross up. Hard to deal with for Bison. Dogura going in.
V-shift down, but chases him down very calmly too. Just walks it out and gets the throw. And now it's going to be Dogra's time to shine. Empty jump low, V-shifts out of the way. Momochi resetting the pace.
I like that EX
shift out of there.
They're real close. The fireball. We'll find extension off some of these combos if we can get it. Get back in to get that right range for the anti-air. He's put himself closer to the corner.
Trying to press the button where he should, and Momochi thought he had a chance to counteract, but now it's going to be Dogra getting the forward throw. V-reversal, get out of there. No free neutral. And I love that. So intimidating, although having the slowest, one of these slower walk speeds in the game. I don't know if it's slower than sets. But yeah, that was actually super hard to determine whether or not, betrayed, whether or not Bison was going to get a normal in or a throw.
We're seeing a lot of throws, just in general, from Dogra, so I like that call, but here we go. It's Momochi getting the knockdown off that low ruffian for the Oki, forcing Dogra to back off. EX connects, gets a hard knockdown off the scissor kick. Go back though, just going for the normal throw. Back to neutral we go. That fierce, I like that interruption right there. Just to deter the standing medium kick and the Zonk if it comes through preemptively. Great button.
Find that space again with the medium kicks, not even letting Dogra get a chance to move on in there, right? Whether it's an advancing normal, whether it's scissor kicks. There we go, finds the mark. EX scissor kick at that. Counter hit, we're stuffing out the normals. Momochi's pressing a lot of buttons on Wake Up, but now gets thrown after he gets deterred from pressing those buttons. He has to walk into the corner as well. What happens now? Activation.
Tag. He's alive. He's got the bar at the bottom for the activation. Dogra looking to pull his trigger real soon here, but not going for slow, or for slide. Because you see, he's neutral jump. He's looking for that. Momochi, so I wish you would. Now you're caught in the corner with the throw, plus frames. It's a counter hit, nothing off of that.
Yeah, and V-shift out of the way. I do like that idea. Dogra, he wasn't even going to plan on using that V-trigger for offensive capabilities or any sort of pressure. He wants it primarily for defense, which is an excellent choice. 10 seconds on the clock. It's exactly how he likes to play, down to the wire. But we might see an EX Zonk. That's a V-reversal. We might see the Zonk come into play. The trade-off, that's going to be better for Dogra, and a standing medium kick to close it out at a second left. The way of Dogra has been fulfilled in game number 1.
The Wind Devil, he made a deal with the devil with that W to be able to keep out somebody, to outpace somebody, and out-time out somebody like Momochi has been ridiculous to see. His decisions too as well. Like, he knows he'll take damage. We saw him jump over the EX Fireball, but he's like, I'd rather take a stand fierce over just stay on the ground holding this plus frame pressure, and that led him to victory. These moments all solidified and just got him to that W. But I still feels like Momochi just is, if he just solidifies some things on his side, it'll go either way. Momochi kind of put himself in the corner. I felt like he kind of had to fight his way out, and the V-trigger really didn't do too much to deter Dogra in terms of, you know, pressing buttons and things like that. Honestly, I'd like to see a V-trigger 2 switch. He has been working with that mix up in the corner for, we already talked about this, for like a month. I want to see something nasty because there's not much Bison can do besides going for the V-shift or break or Wake Up with the light. He doesn't really have a DP reversal, invincible style to get out of those situations. So I'd like to see something with the grip and the mix, because the V-trigger one has been not doing enough to deter Dogra in the neutral.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point. I think it's a fair assessment in regards to what needs to be done. Well, we'll see how that plays out. I think it's still going to be the same set he rocked last time, V-Skill 2 and V-Trigger 1, if I'm not mistaken. I'm glad my Japanese is still intact. And by that, I mean I'm totally lying. It's just the placement of V-Trigger and V-Skill. Either way, going into it, it's going to be the same set from Momochi.
Yeah, Momochi acclimates. We try to get more of that bar built up, but even hesitant to swing out like the medium kick. He's afraid of medium punch. He's afraid of scissor kick, and it makes sense. Looks like they're going to deter the medium kick and medium punch of Cody. Poor Fierce trying to get that throw. 2-4 out. Let's jump back. Round.
You notice how Momochi's slowly inching his way forward for placing that medium kick as soon as he sees that Dogra is not charging for scissor kick anymore. Notice how deliberate some of his movement is because of the fact that Bites is moving around. Like, sometimes he'll throw out a counter punch, a counter poke, in case Dogra is charging back for too long to kind of tempt the idea. Yep, see, he's trying to counter poke.
Dogra though.
Momochi stuck in this corner.
Take it out. Try to get that cross up, heavy kick, didn't get it. Mochi actually able to find his way out just fine. The fireball, would have loved to have a medium ruffian right after that, but just didn't have the reaction. time to stay fine, but does have him in this corner. This is perfect. As soon as I say that, falls to the fireball. Have this back.
Just like that, a little over 20 seconds left, and Dogura has put Momochi into his fly trap, right? He was biding his time for this very moment. Now he gets to force all of the airs against Momochi. This is Dogura's way of play, and man, is it so successful. Look at how much extra meter.
Yeah, all those ruffian builds up.
He's building.
He's like, I just...
Jesus.
Like, there's nothing I can really do at this point. Just let me hit these meter points and try to get something built up for the next round to go down. But as you pointed out, the fact that he's keeping out Momochi, his way of playing, the Wind Devils, not letting him get these EX Zonks, these big boy damage, things that you typically see from Cody, not getting the 40%, it's not happening. Dogura's not opening up.
And to be fair, I think there's a lot of like pensiveness coming in from Momochi. Like, right, he's been very reluctant to even try to contest anything that Dogura's put out there thus far. He doesn't even want to be within range just yet. There goes the slide, actually finding the mark. EX Scissors getting the knockdown as well. 3 successful openings thus far for Dogura. Gets opened up this time, no forgo. It's gonna be the EX Soft Knuckle opening him up. Plus frames, trigger 1, V-shift in response.
Goes for the break, says you better wait. A little bit of gray light, but Dogura's fine with this. He'll get hit. Look at him, not afraid of the knife. The forbidden nooch, unafraid. He's Sparta threatened at the bottom too as well for the EX Scissor kick. Catch him coming in. Knife off the table. He's only got one more. Lets it loose to get the knockdown. He's backing away. So afraid of the EX Scissor kick or now the activation from Dogura.
Ooh.
Wow, what a whip punish.
Giant whip punish. Back throw will do it. Looking for a frame trap instead of backdash there. He's out of there. He's zooming. He's sliding past him. Momochi's trying to jump in, trying to get something, and the jump strategy actually worked out. Catching Dogura, putting a normal where he shouldn't have, put it back in his pocket for him, all tied up in rounds here in game 2.
See what they do. Dogura. They'll take him to the limit. You know, that was so close game right here. EX, get the push to the corner, even on block. That's exactly what Bison wants to do. Put you in the corner, put those plus frames on, positivity. To the neutral jump for Dogura, saying, I'd like you to do a zonk. Side switch though, hold this throw.
Look at it. Yeah, I love the neutral jump option also being exercised. Although it was just kind of unfortunate that Dogura was in within range. That's going to be great for Momochi to get some of those stray hits. Very lucky hit at that. But now the EX Zonk coming into play. Not going to resort to using V-shift or even V-reversal. He's holding onto that bar. He has to activate. Chip damage a little bit. Momochi's backing away.
Out of there. Down 4 fears. Taking that bar for this activation. Now plus frame situation. Needs to get one hit a super. Now Dogura has to play his game. EX. Never mind. Maybe Dogura's fine. Keep that pressure on. The area right there. Maybe one good knife though. Never mind. Needs one more. And there it is. The chip no dip was coming either way. Fantastic play from Mochi to save that bar for that situation. Dogura feeling it for a bit.
All tied up. At least it's not going to be free. And that's exactly what we want to see. I think Dogura, again, trying to keep the pace, at least his pace, going against Momochi, trying to find that strategy against him. But as it stands right now, getting it timed down to the wire has been successful in majority of Dogura's games. Again, one of the highest point earners in the season. He's had so far, I think, 70 points. And I think he has one of the more impressive win records thus far, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, let me take a look, actually. In regards to... Yeah, I think Dogura technically has a 100% win record still. And breaking... Like, he just broke Higuchi's win record last week. So, although being one of the top point earners, or also, I should say, although being 100% win record, he's still only, like, a couple points shy of the actual top point earners in the league. But as it stands right now, his way of playing has been deterred little by little by Momochi. I would love to see a more aggressive playstyle, a little bit more forward movement, but it's so tough when Cody occupies so much space, especially with his medium normals.
Yeah, the reward that he gets off of that counter hit and taking a medium punch into EX Zonk, heavy addition we've seen before previously from Momochi, could be deadly, could spell doom for this character. And it's kind of funny, I feel like Momochi's kind of taken that kind of game plan from Dogura. He's stealing his stuff word for word, bar for bar out here as he gets that lane play throughout and makes Dogura be on the back foot. We've also not seen a lot of V-trigger situations. Oh, bad station right here. Getting caught up in the corner. The back rise. No surprise, he's right there. Counter hit. Heavy ruffian. Almost get that stun and done. Neutral jump denied. Side switch.
Oh, what a reversal too. But to what cost? At what cost? We see a lot more activity swinging from both ends. Momochi getting the better half of majority of these exchanges. Now he gets to play the way Dogura wanted to, right? He gets to play the life lead game. But now we see a couple of counter pokes from the crouch medium punch. Dogura navigating his way around and getting the Psycho Axe, by the way.
Close range fireball play, hard for him to deter that. You know, you can't really do the absorption right there. So close, you're worried about like meet him in his zonk and things like that. It's like a little slight mix up. Air to air, the jump back fadeaway. Time didn't go for it, but not giving up too much space up this place is Dogura. X blocks it out. Defense right here. Yeah, put him right back to square one.
Oh, oh. Again, being able to occupy that space. That was just unfortunate circumstances. Dogura wasn't prepared for that exchange. I think there was like an air gnome where they kind of whipped, but Momochi getting the better half of it.
Good round start. Mochi puts him in the corner. Pull that throw. And those mediums. And again, close range fireball to lock down pressure and approach. And build some of that gray life. Crouch me to kick, into scissor kick. Down forward, fierce. Gets him with the counter hit. Caught him pressing something. It's going to be a punish.
I love that.
That's for some Oki.
Forward throw. Apply that pressure. No, sir. Dogura actually wakes up with buttons. Mochi not able to stop it. A big counter poke off of the medium. Had that buffer into Psycho Flame or Psycho Inferno.
For an activation point. Got to be a little bit less obvious in how you do it. No slide applied. Have to find a fierce or hit confirm. Fantastic. Oh, I just said don't be sliding in. Themes is locked. Medium ruffian. EX for the plus range. Don't press a dang button. You have to hold this strike throw. And again, another one for the win. Momochi in his bag.
That was actually quite tricky too. I think there was a moment where Dogura maybe feared the activation from V-Trigger because of the plus frames, right? We've seen that before from the Prime Ninja, where we would see Momochi utilize EX Zonk Knuckle and then immediately go into activation and force another 50-50 mix-up. But he just stopped it right there. He cut it short, which could catch anybody off guard, really.
Round one. Fight.
What's he doing a lot out here? I don't know if he made a deal with the same sort of devil, or if the contracts run out here for Dogura, because right now, Momochi on game point. Again, have to see Dogura turn up like Vaughn. He's got to get more aggressive. He's got to get things going to phone real early. I like to see more from that V-trigger. We've only seen him utilize that to get outside the corner. He's more in terms of like the grip and the mix-ups to do it.
Right, and we got to see it out how it plays out. I would love to see that kind of strategy implemented right now. We haven't really seen that many grips from the side of Dogura, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think I feel like it's just been so hard to break Momochi's defense and his counter pokes. Oh, a big swing for the fences. Sir, I crushes
it again.
The V-shift.
Up in the corner, V-shift in the corner is a bad idea. Dogura showing why with damage applied. Blast, one more hit will do it. Didn't get it meaty. Here's the back though. Mochi taking his opportunity off of this. Forward heavy kick activation. Deletes the V, reversal off the table for a bit. The one more in the tank for defense. No anti right there. It holds another throw. Oh, what attack.
6 seconds. Dogura, is he going to opt to sit here and take all that pressure? No, sir. He fires out. EX Scissor Kick finds the mark. One more knife left. Cody could actually land a single hit into critical art if need be. That's one throw. Oh, boy. Oh, that's it. More than enough. In a very awkward positioning, Momochi falls into the trap with a back throw, trying to jump away from the Psycho Ball incoming. Dogura, big sigh of relief for him, getting a W after so long and fought, actually, from Momochi. Just been commanding the pace up until this point.
We see a lot more walk forward pressure, and him like also going for dashes, which we haven't really seen typically, to avoid the jump ins instead of being stationary. And again, the jump in, bad situation though. Makes him hold the throw in the EX corner carry, even on block. I'll be caught up in the corner, might drop, medium, buffer. Try to get the jump in again. Harper's character to deal with the counter situation. This is real bad. Might have to spin some V-bar to get out. Another throw. Momochi harassing him in the corner, not letting him leave.
Oh. Trying to get that. Busting his way out of the corner, but still falls into a throw now. We talked about a lot of grips going into this game. We sure do see it from both ends. Momochi now with a ton of life to play with, and there is another gorilla grip. There's no way of getting out of that sticky situation. Dogura might be in trouble here. Yo, Momochi firing things off with EX Song. Forward throw, another set of gorilla grips coming your way. Ordered it from Amazon. Another one. Back throw this time from the side of Dogura. Got himself on the Black Friday special early.
Same day delivery too. You're almost through. Look at that buffering. I wish you'd move. Do something, I dare you. Gets the blast. The down throw up drop like volume, but here we go. Won't you strike it back? B skill. No rough here for the Oki. Forces Dogura to block low. It's the activation though. Plus frames. You have to be careful how to deal with this knife. What's a knife to cycle power though? Put the hands on him.
What a god to a non-believer. Yo, Momochi still letting it rock and so active with his defense, tracking down Dogura, stopping his responses on offense. This man's got no heartbeat anymore. He's trying to take away his pulse. Critical art on deck, by the way. He could get chipped. Oh. And Dogura knew it as well. He's trying to move out of the way. That's going to be 3 games for Momochi. 1 for Dogura. It's going to be Shinobiism Gaming taking another W against the #1 team. Hot damn. 30 points again.
In this run back. And in this run back, Shinobiism Gaming is the one to get it done. They are the one for the W. Man, Shinobi, bro. The fact that Momochi was acclimating to the dash-ins, that Dogura was doing to delete the jump-ins. Dogura feeling uncomfortable, not going for crouch fierce and air-to-airs right there, because it's hard. It is difficult after a certain range. That jump medium kick is going to catch you from behind, but it stayed fine. He has to go for a dash-in every so often and switches up. It makes it really ambiguous when he's going to do that. Down 4 fierce, and fierce kind of hide that dash every so often from Dogura's Bison. However, Momochi acclimated that, found the right instances, and made him hold these throws to take off the V reversal should it come his way for defense after these jump-ins. We already caught that coming a couple of times. Didn't want to reset the situation. Went for the grips. Got it done. Momochi is the one taking it over the Wind Devil, saying, that's my contract now. That's my W. It's my devil.
He grabbed the contract from the grip of the devil and tore it up. He's like, I am the one in control of my own destiny. That is definitely some anime level stuff. But like, all jokes aside, I got to say that's super impressive. The way that Dogura wanted to play, Momochi had accustomed to that play style and made it his own. And that's super impressive to deal with. I don't think there's a lot of players in the league that can kind of deal with that kind of play style overall. Hence why I feel like that's why Dogura has been getting all of these W's consistently. He's had such a large win streak for so long, and now Momochi being the one to be able to rise to the call and stop that exact game plan is like, you know what? I've literally done this against you in installations of Street Fighters past, so this is gonna be just fine. And he proved it. He proved it well. Shinobiism Gaming with 30 points, yo. 60 points in the past 2 weeks. That's remarkable.
And against a top spot team, again, anyone can drop. Anyone can get the hands out here in Japan. Anybody can be defeated. Any of the perfect teams and things like that where previous season it felt like Good A Squad was undefeatable. And honestly, they only ended with like a tie after they hit their hot streak. But now out here, they definitely got the hands from Shinobiism Gaming, who has not in the top spot now, has not reached the top spot now. But in terms of the talent and the strategy, worked out in the clutch and shows that even the gods may bleed, and bleed they definitely did. 30-10 in terms of points done by Momochi himself, sealing the deal. And I was thinking he's going to switch the triggers. He's going to switch the game plan. What he did was kind of go back to that poke style and things like that, harassing the neutral, building up that bar, and stop being so pensive in the neutral against a character and go for a lot of these jump ins, forcing Dogura to have to change his game plan. And we didn't see that. We didn't see a lot of that V-trigger stuff. We didn't see a lot of what, you know, Bison could do beyond the first part of the game, beyond the neutral. So good stuff from Mochi to take it. They're kind of going through the winning interview right now. It looks like Johnny's saying, I've been practicing. I've been wanting to play games. I'm feeling really good. And we saw how really good he was up in his match with that G. And they, looks like the interview said, posed a question, do you know Kachaku's birthday? And he said, nope. But I'm sure he knew that play style as he proved it in that first of two.
Yeah, he made that comparison of playing with John Takeuchi and sort of maybe like seeing similar play styles. And I wouldn't be too surprised if there's a way for John Takeuchi to kind of emulate the way Gachikun wants to play, because there's a lot of experience that goes around, like so many years of playing somebody like Gachikun and kind of being able to retain that knowledge of how that the gameplay happens. It's got to be pretty critical. But as it stands right now, I think John Takeuchi is a great sparring partner to get yourself ready for someone like Gachikun, and Johnny proved that. We do have others coming in for their winner interview. Fujimura has been a little bit lackluster in regards to these last couple of weeks of performances. And he kind of admits that himself. Even in week 7, he fell short 0-2 against Urio. And then in weeks prior, he hasn't performed at his best. And he actually reflects on that, right? He says, there are points that I need to work on in regards to my gameplay. And Fujimura, again, being very, very aware of that. And that's like, it's the best time ever to do so, right? In the second half, you have a lot of leeway, especially with your team backing behind you. You have so many points to get all of your errors out of the way and start to really shine. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up switching back to like another character, maybe like an Akuma. You know, because we've seen Takamura do it this past weekend. Maybe like an Ibuki, perhaps, but
Chun-Li, like he did during CPT, he did Chun-Li. So yeah, it could be. Looks like Yamaguchi said that he was in reserve but didn't give any voice. Bro, I'd love to see that. Yamaguchi, he was in reserve. He didn't give any advice. Speaking about players that also have other characters, might see Yamaguchi going through the kin. But right now, he said it's good that Johnny and Momochi won. He's glad that the team won. And sometimes that's all you just being there is enough for your team. You just being there rooting for your team is enough to take the victory. Mochi said, I wanted to win for Johnny, so it was a good win. And it definitely was a great win. I think Momochi against, like, kind of showcasing why he's so strong, why he's a CPT qualified champion out here, going on to fight for the cup later on, and why he is the best Cody in the business.
So as it stands right now, as we're pretty much getting the summary of the winner's interview, and we're concluding with that, Shinobiism Gaming has reduced the lead to a very close one, right? Going into a Good 8 Squad at 240 points. Shinobiism Gaming had 190. As it stands right now, Good 8 Squad still at the top of the leaderboards with 250, but Shinobiism Gaming within earshot after getting another 30 points, putting themselves at 220. If they get themselves another considerable victory, maybe even another 40 bomb, these guys have been playing immaculately. I think they might be able to take that top spot. But I feel like at the same time, it's like they don't even need to worry about number 1. They need to worry about keeping the points away from the other teams, because Good 8 Squad is going to be doing that throughout the rest of it. They just have to stay consistent with the amount of points they can get going to the second half. As it stands right now, we're taking a look at the stats. Anti-air department, pretty clean, right? We see a lot of jump-ins that were uncontested from the side of Dogura, not being able to suppress that. And that's one of the biggest things we've seen from the changes made to Bison, is not being able to anti-air consistently. 6 out of 7 for the side of Momochi, not too bad. No invincible reversals. The tech throw game is kind of ridiculous as it stands.
Yeah, 7 out of 28 on the side of Dogura. Tech 7, but he held on to throws because you don't want to get opened up with the V-trigger that comes through from Cody. Like, you don't want to hit with like 40% of damage from that character. So it makes sense to take all those throws. However, I feel like that kind of set up the strike throw game hot and heavy for the side of Momochi and allowed him to deny a lot of those V-reversal situations. Once again, 30-10, a lot of points on the board for Shinobiism Gaming. But not only that, probably a target on their backs, because even though they're not the top team, they're being super consistent to take down the top team. Shows to a lot of competitors out here, like, man, if we have to fight these dudes, we have to really put a lot on the line. Stay fine. And they're them being in second place position, as you pointed out, all you need to do is like a good 40 bomb. Good 8 Squad might be dropping. They might be dropping. We'll have to see. I'm getting predictive with it now. Let's talk about this match right here. Johnny versus Gachikun. What do we see here, Vicious?
We've seen a lot of counter poking plays. Like, we see Gachikun initially getting the lead, but all of that pretty much gets taken away with one solid combination of mix-ups from Johnny, right? We see the command grab, and we also see the throw bait with the axe kick to take down the first one. But this actually was super sick. Gachikun making the right call of chasing down the V-skill usage to eliminate the whirlwind, right? That response from Gachikun was grade A for sure. And there it is. Yeah, that's the replay I wanted to see. I can't believe he was able to traverse past, or at least just have that Eagle Spike whiff on him. That was kind of crazy, but as it stands, I got to say Johnny did a fantastic job of playing pretty active defense. The counter poke game was there. The buffer game was there. There wasn't enough. It went down to the wire for certain instances, but that's a very unorthodox mistake that we haven't really seen Gachi-kun make in a while. So really great for Johnny to capitalize on some of these big mistakes that Gachi-kun has made.
I'll say, like, it's really great for Bulgaria to capitalize on, like, just having the early game as much as possible and then going to get the win. Look at the super optimal right here. EX dash straight. Utilize a lot of that fierce round start to leap the fireballs off the table, but also the medium punch 2 buttons as well. And then got better with pushing out the dash punches in that right range where you're not going to be punished for being -4. Look at that, right at that right range. Yeah. Kept it meaty when need be. There were a good amount of hit confirms from Fujimura, but otherwise, when he wasn't able to get those hits to find a way to open them up, he wasn't able to do anything against Bulgaria. Like, that's the thing about Luke. We talked about this before. Not a mix-up character. Not the way that Fujimura would like to typically play, like his Ibuki and sometimes with the Chun-Li. So, like, not being able to open up someone like Bulgaria who has fantastic defense and not be able to mix them, seal the deal, and then we came to this game right here, Vicious.
Yeah, this is the one that was pretty much very, very slow pace at the very beginning. I think, there was a lot to be said in regards to how Dogura wants to play the matchups. We saw a very aggressive start from Momochi. Then we saw all of it kind of dwindle down, right? This is where Dogura kind of took advantage of what Momochi wanted to do, also utilizing the V-gauge to deter any of the offensive openings that Momochi had. And then this is where I love to see classic Dogura come into play, right? Just playing the timer scam out round after round after getting that first W. But we talked about that pensiveness. We saw that reluctancy from Momochi kind of change into more, I gotta say, obviously better decision making on offense, like closing the gap a little bit more, throwing out some of these normals to force Dogura to block, take Gray Life. And then we see the overzealousness from Dogura trying to like steal some turns away by sliding, or at least trying to catch Momochi tripping, or at least trying to go for a V trigger activation. But Momochi, again, the strike throw game, absolutely ridiculous when it comes to having meter. It just wasn't enough for Dogura to deter the advances from Momochi. But we did see some shining moments, right? Some really good reads on offense, breaking the defensive options that Momochi had, right?
Yeah, despite the score being what it wasn't like all the way free. It definitely pushed Momochi to play a different sort of way, but Dogura wasn't able to shift his game plan. And it's, again, funny that Momochi kind of took the game plan from Dogura, and Dogura had nothing else, it felt like, to fight someone like Momochi. So if we do see another match where Dogura does have to fight another Cody, obviously won't be at the standard of Momochi. I'd like to see him utilize that V-trigger a lot more to get that comeback factor, to get that V-trigger sort of flavor up on the deck. But as it stands, Shinobiism Gaming taking it for the first match of the day over Good 8 Squad. Not what I typically thought was going to happen, but hey, that's what happens out here at Super League Japan. As I called it before, it's hard to predict who is going to take it because the top tier talent out here is top tier, cream of the crop on the top. And it's so hard to think about who is going to take what, and the strategies. It's beyond just the characters and things like that. It's who you put up, what players you put up, the way at home. So there's a lot of things to think about, and what makes things really ambiguous and who is going to take that W.
I don't think I'm going to let you get away with making a Macho Man Randy Savage reference without, slowing it down a little bit. Come on, man. The cream of the crop always raises.
Cream of the crop.
Up. You got to make sure you do it right, man. You got to deliver it. You got to deliver it with passion, just like how Nosh is delivering all their foods with the amount of passion they have. And I got to say, man, like as soon as I said that, they actually cut to the image of the food itself. And I apologize, man. I straight up lied to y'all. But at the same time, man, I want to know what this is, right? It's a grilled hamburg. It's a cheese grilled hamburg with poached egg, and that actually sounds pretty good. Not gonna lie to you, I think there's a lot of protein in that serving. And I gotta say, if you are lackluster in regards to the protein game, Nosh has you covered in Japan, and they're gonna go right into it, right? That's actually pretty cool. I love the fact that Hamiko, as reluctant as he is to try new things, I feel like in regards to like doing it on stream, this man is going in. Look, he's proving it to you all that he's a man of culture. He's going in for the hamburg.
Hamburg. Making sure to get a real big bite right here. All right, Hamiko, give us a rating. Give us something. That Hamburg steak.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Is it?
If he goes in for seconds, you know it's good.
The plate. You know when like you have that facial expression of like the mouth still kind of open while you're chewing. Like it's not about like bad manners. It's more so like, damn, this is hot. Like I gotta let the air escape or else I'm gonna burn my mouth. Like I get it. Look, Hamiko's going in. This is gonna get me hungry. This is like one of the this is one of the bad parts. I gotta say, like, there's nothing wrong when it comes to like being able to do these shows, obviously. But when they bring up food on the broadcast,
Man.
it definitely, I'm pretty sure I could speak for both of us here, Ryan. It gets us mad hungry. It's 5 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, and it's got to be like, what? I think like 7 or 8 o'clock for you, St. Cola. And
7,
it's
yep.
not fair, man. It's definitely not fair. We got to sit here and watch them eat. That's just kind of rude, man.
Can they send something over for us? Yo, yo, for the next broadcast, wow. Listen, I'll eat anything on the stream because all this looks delicious. Let us try it too. I'd be more than happy. I'll burn my mouth for this because this looks delicious. And look, yo, Aru with the sit back, like, oh, yes, I know that look. I know what that means.
It's hot. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
as good as that is, it's hot, man. These guys are amateurs, man. They don't even test out the waters a little bit before they put it in their mouth. Come on, man. That's
what, you fingering
that's
it? Come on.
Like, that's day one matchup, bro. You gotta understand. If you're gonna eat anything on stream, you gotta make sure the temperature's right, bro. Or have the drink sturdy and ready. I hope that gets translated somehow.
Exactly.
I hope High Fight manages to clip that and send it to the guys at the broadcast. But no, all jokes aside, man. Overall, Hamiko and Aru, they do such a fantastic job. Same with like the rest of the cast too. Like Nana is a part of there. Like Yamato is also a big component to like all the commentary that's been going down for Japan. I love them taking the time out to do full analysis also in preparation for every day of Street Fighter League. So big ups to them for being the legends that they are. Them also breaking down food is also a masterpiece. I would love to get the subtitles. I would love to get like the big stream between all of the commentators doing a mukbang and critiquing and analyzing some of their favorite dishes or some of their big popular dishes in Japan, specifically Tokyo. So make that happen, Capcom. That's a big idea right there. Boom, boom, boom. So as it stands right now, we do have our first matchup pretty much under wraps, right? Shinobiism Gaming taking it down over Good 8 Squad, 30 points to 10. Coming up next, just to give you guys a heads up, as they're talking about their restaurant-style meal, Saishun Seoul Kumamoto going up against Nagoya Oja Body Star Mil Dombies. What can you say about that in regards to the point situation for these two teams?
I mean, right now, Nagoya Oja Body Star is in third place. They're sitting pretty right now in that playoff area. They're doing fantastic and fine. However, Saishun Seoul Kumamoto is right underneath, so they'll definitely get as many points as possible to get that qualification seat. You know, they were in the tie area between V6 Plus and FPV Roto Z, but is lower because of the fact that they had lost to V6 Plus before. However, as I said before, it's so hard to call who's going to take that victory. I mean, I look at this on paper and be like, Oja Body Star's going to take it free. But however, Saishun Seoul Kumamoto could take it. They have a lot of powerful players on their team. You know, it's also powerful. This beta, I'm still thinking about it, man. I'm still thinking about Guile. I just saw someone do some fantastic God loops and things like that. I'm still thinking about, Capcom, please help us. Bring us back. Bring me back. Bring back the 6, please.
I'm already ready for it, man. I want to just sleep in the hyperbolic time chamber until the game releases, but I gotta say, I can't do that because there's so many big events going on in the Capcom Pro Tour, the World Warrior Project being one of them. We saw Higuchi take down the most recent one earlier, a couple of days ago on the 22nd. We have another one coming your way for the month of November. All across the board, really. I think some of these teams are gearing themselves up to also get ready for that final showdown in December. You can see it. Mark your calendars. Again, this is going to be so important for each and every one of these communities going forward, getting into Capcom Cup. With that in mind, we're going to see how the second match comes up immediately after this break, so don't miss it. It's going to be Saishun Seoul Kumamoto going up against the V6 Plus Nagoya Oja Body Star squad immediately after this. Stay tuned.
この後は試合準備のため休憩に入らせていただきます。21時17分から第8節 Day1 マッチ2最春カンソル熊本対名古屋王者ボディスターミルダムの模様をお届けしてまいります。それでは一旦失礼いたします。
安全にな。
お、新入りかな。うん、いい顔に撮れてるじゃないか。改めて担当教官のルークだ。よろしくな。
始めるとしよう。勝負だ。投票入りでごわす。手加減は期待しないでくれ。
Here comes a new challenger. Street Fighter 6. Scrap heap. Ready. Start.
We're
in the second half of episode 8, day 1. Let's get it done. Street Fighter League Japan is again in the second half of the season. My name is St. Cole. I'm doing a vicious dog. What do we have on the menu for the people at home?
Taishunkan Soul Komodo going up against the Goya Oja Body Star Mildom Beast. The team I just mentioned, well, they're going to be on the away side, led by Akira, swinging for the fences, being oh so quick like lightning in that Kami. Daigo Umehara, the living legend, ever evolving time after time, coming in with the W's with that guile as well, followed by the attack on heavy tank Fudo, one of the big geniuses in the gaming world of Street Fighter, followed by the Nagoya's White Omen Narikun with that Akira. No, I gotta say, I didn't get to mention all the characters that Fudo does possess in his arsenal. The primary one that he's had thus far in the league is Poison, and I love the fact that these guys have been so dominant, at least in regards to like, you know, some of the points that they've been playing with, some of the points that they've been earning, I should say. But let's take a look at the home team.
Saishun Kangso Kumamoto coming up with Nemo, the Brute King, the Violence Emperor himself, leading the charge. Right after that is going to be the Wonder Child himself, the Prodigy, you see. Higuchi with that guile, that fantastic guile, the template guile that people should follow. After that is going to be the Little Devil himself, Shuto, one of the other ones that has qualified with the Urine that everyone thought was dead. Last but not least is going to be the Monk of Shime himself, Mike Shimochi, second place runner-up at EVO Online. That, despite being what it is in terms of his score right now, is still a strong competitor, still a strong threat out here, and I expect a lot from him today out here at Street Fighter League Japan. Man, these are two stacked teams, despite what, you know, has happened in terms of where Saishun Kangso Kumamoto is on the leaderboards, despite the fact that Ojibody Star is in the 3rd position. I still think that, again, just like we saw previously, it's going to be hard to call who's going to take it.
You know, we have two of the top point earners in the league thus far in these teams, right? With Saishun Kangso Kumamoto, we have Higuchi, who just witnessed or experienced his first loss ever in the previous week at the hands of Dogura. Higuchi actually has 100 points. Fudo also in that same realm with 100 points. Despite not having the perfect record, he still has put up so many big numbers on the board, playing in some of these very pivotal anchor position games. But as it stands right now, we have our away team roster already settled, and it's no surprise to see Fudo on the roster for the anchor match yet again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that previously, and he was the one to take down White Mochi and seal for his team. That was a 30-10 for Ojibody Star over Seoul previously, but once again, things have been switched. On the away side, who's on the away side has been switched. In terms of like character strategy, stuff like that, you know that they've checked out the tapes. Even the winners have checked out the tapes and said, I need to do this better. I need to do this. I need to improve upon this matchup or whatever. So I'm so curious to see what they're going to send up in return. But again, you have a team full of Warrior competitors that are, you know, already qualified for, it seems, for Shudo and Higuchi. They're in the top spot for the points, winning theirs. However, the results out here have not been as strong, and I think part of that is, and I keep saying this, because people are like, okay, this dude is coming here to play. This dude is definitely in the top spot in terms of like these points, super strong with this character. We got to start looking at him and have some strategy. So with Higuchi losing and Shudo maybe not making the moves that he wants to out here, I feel like they're gonna have something really good for us today in terms of like different sort of play. Like maybe Higuchi has to maybe make a little bit less risk in his play style to find some reward. Maybe, you know, where they place Higuchi is gonna be something different in terms of maybe putting him earlier up in the match instead of hanging him in the anchor position. See what comes up on this screen. First off is gonna be Fudo. I'm sorry, last off is gonna be Fudo, as you have pointed out, and then we're gonna have the Kami and Guile backing it up. That means Daigo in the 2nd position and Akira in 1st.
It's gonna be pretty interesting, right? 2 of the 3 members of this roster, or sorry, 2 of the 4 members of this roster are getting those repeat games in the run back. When they first met each other in week 1, Daigo and Fudo had participated in their matchups. Daigo actually went up first. Narikun was the vanguard, and then Fudo played the anchor positioning. Daigo and Fudo being in the realm of 2nd and 3rd this time is going to provide a good amount of support for someone like Akira. But I feel like Akira doesn't really need that kind of support. He like kind of plays on like his own whim. He always has his kind of play style intact. I don't think there's a lot of players that have been able to deter the very fast approach thus far consistently enough. I think that's going to be a great starter for Nagoya Ojibody Star, just having Akira being the initiator. But as it stands right now, it's like, who are you actually going to be sending out? Hamiko had actually pointed out that Nemo might have a big bet against Akira's Kami utilizing Gil instead of Falcon Urien. Like, out of all the characters he has been exercising with, I think Hamiko thinks that Nemo's Gil might actually be the answer.
Hamiko was right on the money. It looks like that Gil is coming up on the deck for Nemo. And that's so strange because Gil's one of those characters that he can Street Fighter 5 you, but his neutral maybe isn't the best compared to even his brethren Urien. You know, his neutral buttons aren't so good. You know, he doesn't get much off the counter hit light punch like people wish he would have gotten in the patch. But he can still V-trigger. He can still rob you. If he gets a V-trigger going and flowing, he can be really hard to stop. You definitely dish out the damage with the retribution system. But it's still kind of weird because I feel like Cammy has a lot to say up in the neutral. The neutral for her is just being able to have these fantastic buttons, fantastic walk speed, but she can't take a lot of hits. If he finds the right anti-air, he might quit. I feel like one back heavy kick or crouch fierce into like 30-40% V-trigger could seal the deal. Let's see what happens here.
Would love to see how the parry gets utilized for some of the airborne approaches that Cammy has. I want to know what it is exactly that led Nemo to making this decision going into Gil. I would love to see the Urian, to be honest with you, but I guess there's going to be a lot to say in regards to like what Nemo's mix-up potential is against someone like Akira, who's prone to kind of like pressing buttons on wake up, who's actually prone to actually exploding on wake up with EX uppercuts. He's willing to take those risks with as fast of a gameplay style that he has, but I want to know exactly what it is about this particular match. Nemo not having the best shot or not having the best record out of the games that he's played. He's only gotten a single W, but still, as it stands right now, there's still plenty of time to make that turnaround happen.
Right. Akira says from 2 days ago, he saw Nemo-san playing Gil. He was spying on him in the bushes and said, oh, he's going to be playing that character. If he has planned the tactics right, he can win this. Nemo said, I'd like to do my best. And Akira, being smart enough to be like, okay, I need to check up on seeing what they're doing on the other side of things. And, all right, if you're running this character, I'm going to have a game plan. But as you said, it's not like Nemo doesn't have any other characters. I mean, we've seen him practice the Gil. We haven't really, Ed. We've seen him practice the Ed, not in Street Fighter League, but just on his stream. We have seen the fault. And of course, the Urian could come through, even in matchups where it's still bad for Urian. I still feel like he's so solidified with that character for years upon years. He can still make the comeback if it needs to happen like that. But as you stated, Akira has this explosive style, which it benefits him and also causes him losses sometimes, where he's so explosive it's hard to pin him down. But one or two bad decisions will be the end of the round. Like, this character has less health, and that play style does lead to losses sometimes if they are on point with their meaties or have the situations on lockdown. So I'd like to see his game plan, what he has against Gil. Not being able to drill through the fireballs as perfectly, you have to get a better spacing for it. So it does come out on the 4th frame instead of the 1st frame for the X-Spiral arrow to get through the fireballs. It's going to be a pain point for the character, but I think the die kicks are still going to be a good approach. However, you just have to be careful. Don't get hit with the parry. Don't get hit with the crouch fears. You'll be A-okay. Easier said than done, though.
Yeah, easier said than done. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to the fireball game. I think Cammy still does like a pretty decent job against like getting around it, whether it be like V-Skill 1 or even like EX Spiral Arrow. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to like the spacing that Akira wants to play at to even react to it, because the fireballs aren't like the quickest in regards to like Gills, whether it be like Pyro or Cryo. I think there's just like a pretty standard fireball. The one that travels slower might be an issue, sure, but for the most part, it's like you can still kind of like react and maybe like jump it too. So we'll see how that fireball game even plays out, if it's going to even pose like a valid threat against someone like Akira, who is going to be playing like mid-range, right? We're looking at medium kick being a huge deterrent. Also, him swinging for the fences with fierce happens to be very common. So I think he's going to be looking for like a couple of things, right? Where he wants to catch the startup of the fireball, or where he wants to catch maybe like some of the medium normals that Gil possesses.
Yeah, and he's going to get the win. You'll put that pressure on. Obviously, Gil does have the 3 frame and the parry, but in terms of like invincible reversals, obviously doesn't have that. And the game plan for Gil is to win with V-Trigger. I feel like you're not going to be able to win too often in neutral scramble situations. You do have EX armor to kind of enact some pressure, but otherwise the main game plan, the win condition for Gil, is to put on the V-Trigger situation. And someone like Akira, they love utilize that V-Trigger with the quickness. Sometimes that's good because you can build up V-bar again before the round ends if you get the crush counters and stuff like that. But that means less chance for a V-shift and V-break and things like that to get out of the mix. So that may benefit Nemo. And again, a player that would love to play that one-player game. Let's see if he's able to do so and get the W against Akira. First match of these two teams.
See, we're gonna see exactly how this plays out. It's gonna be game number 1 between these two teams. This is the run back. We'll see who gets the better half of it. As it was before, Saishon Kansou Kumamoto fell short 10 points to 30 against Nagoya Oja. Let's see if they can change history.
Here's the timeline. You have the fireballs without that EX bar. I have to worry about it, but went for the up fireball, trying to call it out. He called his bluff. Back in is Nemo. The tackle and the dash in doesn't go for the hit or the counter hit, it's the back throw.
already off to a fantastic start. Nemo has just been in full control thus far against the neutral. Just kind of picking apart everything that Akira wants to do. We'll see if he can do so again. Medium kick being the big tool against the big normals that Akira wants to possess. Oh god, against present, I should say. But man, we talked about that crouching heavy punch. Just don't get hit, huh? It's a big punish. So what can you do about that?
Not too much. One more hit will get this done and done. He's not even pressing the issue because he knows when he's a few more hits into it, he's getting close to that chip no dip. If he needs to, he'll go for it. V reversal does not matter. Knob in the corner, bro.
Yeah, Nemo had actually planned out that strategy like a long time ago. That is something he's been working on since like I think day one, like trying to use the active frames of that critical art to blow up some of the movement-based V reversals. So that was extremely smart on behalf of Nemo, even leading to that positioning. Even before all that, there's just been so much control off of the medium range normals that it hasn't been enough for Akira to even like anticipate maybe like a whiff punish too. So he hasn't been within the right ranges because Nemo and Gil, they've just been pretty much in Akira's face. I'd expect a little bit more of like a passive nature, or at least to the matchup, but that wasn't it at all.
Yeah.
He was swinging right out the gate.
And honestly, in terms of how Nemo's playing, like it's making Akira feel uncomfortable because Akira, he does make these big bets. We talked about this. If he makes these big bets, he's going to get got with a ton of damage to drop. And I feel like that is playing perfectly to Nemo's game plan. If you whiff this EX spiral arrow at this distance, I'm taking it to the corner. You're eating tons of damage. I'm getting bar built up because of the retribution. And I'm saving this super up for these situations we're going to get got. So now we'll see if there's another sort of change up. It's going to be the costume change. We see this from Akira. If he switches the costume, it's like you get like a 10 times power. Maybe not really, but I feel like that definitely helps him out mentally. He switches the costume, he does a little bit better. See if we can shore up this neutral a little bit better. The jump in, not going to happen.
I always think to myself, it's like, why not just start off with that costume in the first place?
You're right, yeah.
There has to be, like,
why lose the game?
There has to be like a certain condition he has to reach. Like he has to take like the mental damage of losing the game first, and then going to have it actually be effective. He has to do that first in order to unlock that costume.
See if it helps out. Just at the feature of the deck and the X bar, gets it jumping off the light, switching up what he does in these jumping situations, and getting more aerial too. Not fearing the anti-approach of this character.
Oh! He still gets the extension. Yeah, more than enough damage. Nemo getting a pretty lucky situation, actually. Off of the medium punch, he actually didn't get to go into the trigger to connect it or like link into it, but he still managed to get a counter hit against Akira. Look at that match point now, standing medium kick being a big deterrent against the dive kicks. Yes, sir. A lot of activity around that leg.
And then out. The Lisa dive kick off the table from the distance. That's like the party starter right there. That medium kick into the other buttons. The sit up shot. Try to call it out. This allows him to get in back to situation. Look at the activation. Only coming from Nemo off the toes like that.
You didn't get retribution, so he didn't get the wall bounce, but he doesn't get it this time. And into the critical art, you're about to see heaven and hell combine. Look at this. Ugh. Seraphic wing. I love that. I love that critical art.
He's like,
yo, Nemo.
How does that feel?
So good. That was
so amazing.
Very well played counter pick from the side of Nemo. That was completely unprecedented. Yo, I did not expect Gil to do like that much work against Cammy. I also haven't seen Akira this flustered ever.
Right, yeah. I mean, we saw him drop the confirms. We had him up the corner, and there were some points where Nemo could have converted and found the finish, but there were a bunch of drop confirms up in the corner. That showed me the shakiness from Akira. You could see it in his face, and Nemo just was like, okay, another day at the office, 9 to 5, no overtime. They're more than fine out here with this character. I did not expect the matchup to go that way, and some of it felt like just the way that Akira's play style kind of led him to his demise a little bit. Too explosive, maybe falling too short in some of these converse things like that, and getting eaten up. That being said, Nemo using that medium kick, check the dive kicks, the jump ins, to check him dashing in, and then setting up shot for crouching medium punch and medium punch. Those buttons of the character aren't that good, but it doesn't matter if you can't get in to get the whiff punch situation. So Nemo getting a big dub over this character, having 2 out of 3 in terms of the anti-airs. But I'll tell you what, the damage that was done does not... That's all you need. All you need is like a couple anti-airs. 1 or 2 will do you against a low health character like Cammy.
Yeah, I gotta say, there was a lot of damage on the board, not just from the combos you would expect from like Retribution off of Gil, the main mechanic that he has, but I think it was primarily from counter poking, right? There was a lot of instances where Akira had just run into normals, primarily standing medium kick, both on the ground and also in the air. I think medium kick having that hitbox around its like ankle to like his thigh, being able to like stop some of the dive kicks from coming through was a pretty important factor, right? It wasn't even via like an anti-air, like a traditional one, like maybe like a crouching heavy punch or something, or even like maybe like a roundhouse or something, or like a back roundhouse, but not even a parry came into play. Really, so that kind of shows you. I don't think Akira was well prepared for the Nemo Gil match. But to be honest, like even though he did the research, like he was looking at CFN, like who really is prepared for Gil? Nobody but Nemo. And I think that is a critical moment to bust it out, getting 10 points for their team. Now I'd imagine it's gonna be the Daigo Mirror match, right?
Really, you think it's gonna be the Daigo Mirror match? Well, you know what? You're right. They're focusing on the Wonder Child Higuchi himself, who has been just running rampant over a lot of these players. We already talked about how dominant he was. Just got his first loss recently. But I'd love to see this mirror match. We've seen this previously a few times over the years. And I think it was during the CPT or was it Topanga League? One of those bigger events that we saw these two play each other. Both, actually. Yeah, you're right. It is both. So we just see the mirror match, and this is one of the more exciting ones. It's like the old school sort of style, but the difference in play style is so great because of Higuchi. A lot of forward momentum, a lot more buttonsy. Someone like Daigo, a little more technical, a little bit more looking for like these minute opportunities to take it. A little bit more respectful, but when he does get disrespectful, that's how he starts his route back. The bust outs we've seen, that's how he activates. The beast is unleashed from the cage. So we'll see if he can delete the young gun off the table and get some points for his team.
I also love the fact that we actually took away the blinding light background from the players. I love to see the kind of like atmosphere these guys are playing in. And you know, Saishun Kanso Kumamoto, they're all at like I think they're at like their organization's like place of operation. We see Shuto in the background. What a goofball. That's just how he is. I love watching him stream too because he's also just as funny. But what a weirdo, man. We're gonna see the Gao Mirror match coming in between Higuchi and Daigo, and you made a very valid point. I think there's a lot of control that Daigo likes to play as. Like I think there's like that kind of play style where he likes to play a little less buttonsy and more of the Sonic Boom game. But Higuchi, I think, is a lot more active in regards to like his normal placement. So we're gonna see a clash of offense versus defense, I think. As you had led up to between Higuchi and Daigo.
We give him the scores. Daigo, he's on 4-1 right now. Last time is when he beat Crusher in the anchor match. Doing really good. We already talked about Higuchi being 6-1. His last loss, or only loss I should say, was to Kawano in the anchor match for himself. So I'm sure that, you know, that's good for Higuchi to lose, because if you're on a hot streak, there's not much you have to do to kind of change up what your style is. If it's working and you're winning, you know, stay with it. Don't deviate too much. But now he's probably had to go back to the drawing board and say, all right, they start looking at me as a threat. They have game plans for me. I got to get back in the driver's seat. Got to keep getting these points and things like that. I got to keep that momentum that I had. And that's going to help him evolve his play style. Very curious to see how they're going to operate in this mirror match, because it's, again, playing against the player a lot more than it is the character. Higuchi says that the Gao mirror match, as we discussed, the team and best tactics. So again, that's the reason they even put him up there. Nemo would like to win this. We're halfway done with Street Fighter League. We'd like a ton more points and see which Guile is going to be stronger. God, I love pride matches like this, where it's like, who has the better Guile? Who has the better Guile? Who has the better character?
Yeah, there's a lot to be said in regards to like winning the mirror match against somebody who is the most prestigious fighting game player of all time outside of Justin Wong, right? This man right here on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the reason why you got into fighting games in the first place. And that's no exaggeration. Daigo Umehara, a living legend in regards to gaming across all fronts, but primarily in the fighting game community. And he's not even just a sole Street Fighter player, right? He's played a ton of different titles through the course of many people's lifetimes. Really. Like, this guy's been around the block, and he's probably the one who built that block in the first place. My point is, man's old, and he's also one of the most dominant figures in the fighting game community that we could ever ask for. So it's quite the task at hand for someone like Higuchi, where, you know, he wants to step up to the plate and be the top dog. And quite frankly, I think he's in the best shape he's been in and can actually do this. I think, if anything, this might be the time where he gets to like uproot some of the old legends and possibly take a W, especially in the mirror match where a lot of pride is on the line.
Saw this previously, like earlier this year, when Kawano had taken down Daigo, where it's like the young gun versus the old gun out here, and then we've seen it continuously with Higuchi versus Daigo. And you pointed out that Higuchi's kind of been on a fantastic run. He's already won one of the World Warrior tournaments. He's been in the top spot quite a bit with it. Obviously, been dominant out here in Street Fighter League Japan. He's just so hard to stop. He's just so difficult to fight because it's almost like you're not fighting just Gao, but you're fighting Higuchi even more so because the style is just so different than other Gaos. And I do think this is like his prime position to take it. If there's going to be a time for him to make moves, it's going to be this season. Obviously, it's like probably the last season for Street Fighter V, so it's time for anybody to make moves. But he is looking so fantastic. However, we can't count Daigo out. We talked about him being an old dog out here, but he can still learn new tricks. He's still out here doing work. We saw him top 8 out of Evo. There's so many Japanese players out of Evo just in general, but he was almost at that spot, only taken down by the likes of the machine that is Eye Domination. So Daigo is still a threat. Doesn't matter how old he gets. I still feel like he'll be playing when he's 80. Maybe 70, 80, still doesn't matter. He'll still be a threat. He'll still be taking down top dogs himself.
I would love to see him still play at the age of like 70 or 80, to be honest with you. As unrealistic as that sounds, that'd be super sick. I mean, if they have like older generations of like teams in other games, and other like maybe like first person shooters, I don't see why we can't have somebody like that in the fighting game community. Maybe there could be like hand injuries that happen, but I'm sure Daigo's gonna be just fine in the older stages of the game. But that'd be quite a thought, man. As it stands right now, we talked about the different types of play styles that are going to be in play here. Daigo does pretty much dissect information and makes decisions based off of that, but for the most part, like, it's been very passive, right? We see a lot more of like the Sonic Boom game and kind of like counter poking play style, whereas Higuchi kind of like bulldogs his way forward against majority of the players a lot of the time. So we'll see if that's going to be the case specifically for this matchup ahead.
So what happens here, first to two, so you don't have much time to deliberate on how you're going to utilize, either your buttons or your booms, so you can take the better of it. Higuchi, fresh off a loss, definitely has something in his bag to stay solid, but Daigo will take as many points for his team, will definitely have something in his bag too as well to fight Higuchi back. They play each other for months upon months. Now let's see who's going to take it in this run back here at Street Fighter League Japan.
It's actually Daigo being the aggressor because Higuchi had backed off and given up some of the space, but I think that's what he wanted. He wanted Daigo to kind of push through and play offense first so that he gets in close quarters contact. Instead of trying to play like the cat and mouse game, he dragged Daigo to come to him, right? I think that's super smart because you're not taking as much damage.
Anti right there from Daigo, locking him down. There's always been a wall of buttons, but Higuchi advancing Fortress. Now the Sonic Booms, EX gets the knockdown. He's saving the EX bar just for these moments, get the knockdown and apply that pressure. Back fist, gets the crush, caught him with the button.
And let one boom separated from the pack to apply even more of a mix-up, a big threat, but Daigo also sitting on trigger now. He just got it off of that after the kick. A big boot.
Cross coming through. EX gets a knockdown. Higuchi spins that bar to get in. Walk in. Gets the Dragon Suplex. Trying to get that jump in. Flash kick. Not going to happen. Sweep off the feet. Called it out. But have to call it quits with a walk-up, dash-up, though, I should say. Flash kick at the distance. Risky, but clutch.
We're going to see a clash of booms.
Synergy.
The reversal. It's going to be so close to call. There was a reversal from the side of Higuchi. I don't know if that was going to be, if that was maybe like the roundhouse flash kick potentially, but there was a reversal from Higuchi trying to contest the Sonic Boom.
Fortunate, Daigo on him lacking. And again, that pressure that Daigo's been putting on maybe have caused that. Maybe part of the reason why that was caused. It's a fresh jump in off that jump, heavy kick, flash kick, puts him in the corner. Waits and baits. Higuchi trying to get risky with it, but finding no reward. Oh yeah.
He's not gonna. He might not get another chance to do it. But I feel like if Daigo gets knocked down, he's gonna go for EX flash kick again. Damn, that would have been sick. It would have been sick if he did it. Lands on the boom. Now Higuchi on the back foot, but he has so much life ahead of him. The V-shift out of there. Daigo has such a big hill to climb. The sweep there with the trade-off against the boom. Higuchi still getting hit a little bit, shaving a couple of life points away.
Protosaw trying to find the anti-air. It's right there. Checking the sky space to put this man in the square space. We're game to game. Round to round, I should say. Starting off strong. A little bit more pressure. More aggression. This is what he'd like to play in his wheelhouse.
My big, I don't mean the damage, but it's more so like positional advantage he gets against Daigo, right? Not for the cat and mouse game as much, but Daigo outpacing Higuchi with his projectiles. Not until that moment though, the EX1. Yeah, down for roundhouse for the anti-air. Now it's going to be Higuchi in charge. Up until this point, it's been so back and forth with momentum. Daigo fighting himself out of the corner.
Right to the jump in, not going to happen. Again, the fierce in the throw. Sonic boom. He seems to stutter step the Sonic booms every so often to catch him off his pace and place. Flash kick, drops him down to the ground. The walk-up throw. It's going to be a flash from Higuchi. No, he waits. Even Daigo backed off. Team down.
What
with the sweep off the feet. Daigo knew the distance.
Daigo. Man, these guys are having a party over at the Nagoya Oja house. Like, I hear somebody saying it hurts every time like Daigo lands a hit, and then there's like a smirk on Daigo's face at the same time. There's a lot going on in this house.
Oh, she was like, I know what does. I know what hurts them. About to get that win. This is a fantastic job. And they might have a party if they can get more of these points up on the board. As Daigo is being really solid out here against someone like Higuchi, who, again, is so hard to read in terms of how you deal with his projectiles and things like that, how you deal with his normals. But Daigo with the aggressive. And one of the things that Daigo had said recently was, I found my playstyle with this character. I found how I want to play Guile. He's a soul learner, but when he learns, it's so hard to stop him.
Yeah, that's a big deal, right? That's a pretty important thing to understand. Like once he actually gets started, it's like what are you supposed to do? So like stop him from adapting towards you. The amount of damage is going to be so substantial for Higuchi, but still having the life deficit. Oh yeah, we saw that coming a mile away. Using the V trigger for the freeze, punishing the Sonic Boom, but I think that's something to note, that not having that credit card to start things off, Daigo's going to be totally okay with that.
Oh yeah, having bar is so important, especially we've seen it get disrupt the rhythm of the booms with the EX to come through. As you see right there, it's a knockdown, but the trade makes him stay full screen. But Daigo, I think, is fine with this. Again, he'd like to play that long range game much as possible. Sweep off the feet at that distance, mid to long range, I should say. Denying Higuchi from coming in.
Ooh. And that was from Higuchi. EX flash kick too. I love that. Daigo now was being the aggressor, following up with the booms. Caught Higuchi trying to move, keeping him grounded with the standing medium punch. And now Daigo's going to be backing off. Flash kick, you know it. If he landed on the boom, that would have been sick.
Would have been in, but the jumping media kick. Doing something different with these jump-ins to get the win. I love that Daigo has a different aerial approach. It seems like every single time that his feet leave the ground, jumping heavy kick, if he wants to get deep dish with it, or the jumping media kick for that right range against the fireballs, and he's about to make Higuchi fall, because this is set point for him in this Guile match.
Ether sounds mad good right now. But other than that, I will say what really sounds good is the control that Daigo has had against Higuchi. Yep, EX flash kick past the Sonic Boom. That is the right call out. Countering the low medium kick. You hear a nice from the background. People cheering on, his teammates cheering on Daigo, making all the right decisions, having the right reactions against Higuchi. Higuchi with the back to the wall, the jump in uncontested. No, not enough time.
Right, with punish, sweep off the feet immediately against that B skill. Next hit will kill. Got the EX bar to threaten. Careful with the booms. The jump in gets the win. Daigo. Umihara says, I'm the best Guile today.
Damn. Hot damn. Damn, someone's popping off in the back. I gotta say though, Higuchi, you were talking about it, right? He slowly got predictable with the Sonic Boom placement. Little by little, Daigo had countered a lot of it, right? He had matched him so many times over in some of the Sonic Boom warfare we've seen in the earlier phases of the round. Like towards the end, he was able to catch some of the Sonic Booms pretty much at the same pace Higuchi wanted to throw them and still find the right counter poke against Higuchi, because we've seen the clash of the Sonic Boom, then we see Daigo follow up behind it. Higuchi had preemptively thrown out a normal to try to counter poke, and Daigo was ready for it majority of the time, either crush countering him or just flat out like sweeping him. You talked about sweep out the feet multiple times, or even just something simple like a crouching medium kick. Then when he got Higuchi kind of complacent with throwing some of these booms, he was kind of eager. He's like, all right, well, I'm getting counter poked so often, I want to try to set this up again. That's what led Daigo to be like, all right, well, I'm going to just go the next step and react to your Sonic Booms with the anticipation of you throwing them and get these big punishes. So Daigo, as it stands, being the superior Guile by 2 games, 2-0 against Higuchi.
Fantastic play from Daigo. Again, the zoning play is so important. Him utilizing the EX bar is something different. We saw Higuchi use it for the super to seal it for 1 round, but other than that, we saw Daigo utilize a lot of the EX bar to cut through the booms and make it unpredictable when he wanted to zone. And again, lock down Higuchi in the corner and disallow him doing his favorite buttons, the upside down kick and the Sobato, disallowing that fighting with punishes. And look at the anti-airs coming from the side of Daigo. That 75% told me quite a bit in terms of like Higuchi breaking down, trying to get these jumping situations, and it wasn't happening. 3-8 on the side of Higuchi, maybe not the best, and the blessed outs happened more on the side of Higuchi. We saw the bait right there from Daigo. So some of the reversals were landing, at least one reversal landed on the side of Higuchi. However, the tail of the tapes for me were the anti-airs coming from both sides, but more on the side of Daigo, keeping the control and lockdown. And now we see the anchor match. Who do you send up?
Oh, for Fudo, that's a tough bet. That's a very tough bet. I would love to see maybe like YFC Mochi take control of this situation. But according to Hameko, he predicts that Shuto might be the answer against Fudo. Which character specifically, we don't know. I mean, like Poison is going to be the first character up from Fudo. We don't know if there's going to be a switch or not, but Urien is going to be the pick. We hear Nemo, the captain, talk about it. Shuto is going to be indeed going to be the anchor.
All right, Shuto going up in the deck. I mean, I feel like Sim would do a better job than Urien, but Urien does have some good points. If he stocks up with the V-Skill armor, he can get through some of the buttons of Poison. I was listening to Item talk about this recently, that Urien can still kind of fight Poison. EX knee drop can kind of deal with medium punch if time wrong. If he gets in, he can be real strong with the medium punches and the buffers and stuff like that. And we've seen Urien dump out the damage. In addition to all of this, Shuto is the template of how Urien should play. You talked about this previously. Tokido has said that this is how he wants to play Urien, is how Shuto plays Urien. I feel like if you're a Urien player, you got to be looking at Shuto and how to play this character. He used a lot of the V-shift and break, even previously before the season has even started. He's very defensive, but he knows how to be offensive. He's already won a World Warrior with a character that people have left to the side, have dropped, have thought was too weak. And I do think to a degree, Urien isn't really the best character anymore. He's not really in the top spot, but he's still strong enough to make waves out here in Street Fighter Japan, if not this game proper in the meta.
I would love to know what the interview topic is in regards to like their preparation for the match. I'd imagine that's what it is. I would love to know the response, I should say, coming in from Shuto. Again, being the anchor, or having Nemo kind of talk about this a little bit. You know, we've talked about like how much he relies on Shuto being like the Urien of the pack. In response to this matchup, I think Fudo had to have anticipated it. In fact, he had said that himself. He says, I had expected him. I'm looking forward to my matchup with Shuto. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to preparation for each other. I think, you know, Fudo, super studious in regards to like certain matchups. He has all like the specific niches in regards to like every matchup. But as it stands right now, Shuto had his words as well. Fudo said he wasn't paying close attention to Shuto. This is from Shuto's perspective, right? Shuto had claimed that he'd always lost, but he was keeping an eye on him, and he was born to win against Fudo-san. So he would like to win this. And Fudo had actually admitted to it. He says, I wasn't paying close attention to Shuto up until recently, which is a pretty damn big deal. Like if you're getting someone like Fudo to sweat you a little bit, that's got to be like either you're doing something right or you're in danger, or a mix of both.
I mean, I feel like that's been the case for a lot of players in regards to Shuto. Like, they didn't really see him as a threat until like recently, until he got that W at World Warrior, and they're like, oh dang. I'm sure they were looking at the character choice and they're like, Urian, what's he gonna do? He doesn't have wake up EX headbutt anymore. I can punish him for free. But we've seen Shuto utilize this sort of game plan previously. And, you know, I feel like, you know, having that template of being the best Urian and then those wins at the World Warrior events have kind of put eyes on this person, eyes even on the character too as well, to say this character is still a threat. So now with Fudo being recently paying attention to Shuto, hopefully he's got a game plan against how we might see more of the V shifts and the V breaks and things like that. We might see more of the tendencies to look out for their V shifts. We saw Shuto during the CPT World Warrior event, the third one, all out Higuchi's V shift with like an EXD drop. So he's looking out for the defensive tendencies of other people. I feel like if you're a defensive player, sometimes you'll be good at finding out what other people want to do defensively too as well. So let's see how Shuto works out in this match. I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out. We don't really get to typically see a lot of Urian versus Poison. A lot of the Urian players, again, switching to Luke, switching to Cody, switching to other characters, but Shuto staying true to his Urian pick.
So I want to know what it is about this pick specifically that Fudo was worried about, and exactly what it was about the team's decision from Saishunkan Sol Kumamoto to put up Shuto in this position. There's a lot to be said in regards to Urian being able to kind of close the gap a lot faster than most characters, especially when he has EX bar, right? I think the EX chariot tackle is going to be a pretty important component in regards to what Poison's trying to do, leaving, you know, although leaving Urian at a -2 position. I think it's very important to note that like that EX tackle could be kind of thrown out there immediately after maybe like a crouch medium, or sorry, a crouch heavy punch is thrown out from the side of Poison. So little small tidbit there. I want to know exactly how this is going to go. And we're going to see it right now with the anchor match. Saishunkan Sol Kumamoto setting up Shuto in that Nemo. Sorry, in that Urian. Might as well say Nemo, right? Shuto in that Urian versus Nagoya Oja Body Star Mildon Beast sending up Fudo with that Poison.
See, my man said he was born for that W. Right out the gate. Born to get this W. Let's see if we can get through. Anti right there with the medium. Fudo controlling him, harassing him with the neutral with that mid whip. Give him that right range. We haven't really seen Fudo being able, or Shuto being able to stock up with a V skill. At least gets a chariot tackle.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but you know, Shuto hasn't really been able to play in this run back. This is the first time he's going to encounter the team Nagoya Oja Body Star. In fact, you know, YC Mochi was the one that went up against Fudo last time and actually fell short 1-3, so I get why they don't want to send this up again. But it's a whole different story, right? It's Poison, not Armika. We see the whip activating its trigger. Molotov is going to cook him up. He's going to put him in a guess for game scenario. No, he's going to back away. A little bit of a heart rate to push back and create some space for himself.
O-tap. He triggered. Molotov, Anarchy raining out here as Fudo takes the first game, or first round, I should say. But so dominant, it's looking hard for Shuto to even get going and flowing. We haven't really seen those like pain points. We haven't seen the V skill stocked up, and I get why. You're so afraid of EX crack kick or EX whip at all at those ranges. He's trying to back up, but you won't give up too much range.
Yeah.
You know, too much damage.
We get the coral punch off with the counter hit as well. Crouching jab to extend it, but now it's Fudo in the corner. But we've seen how good he is at escaping the corner. The coral kick finds the mark. Shuto not close enough to get an extension off of it with crouching medium punch, but now backing away from the Molotov, a very shallow one. Bad. Fudo letting the second one rip way off the deep end, so it's not going to be effective. This is getting a big confirm in the critical art. It's going to be a little bit of a life lead for Fudo.
I gotta be worried with the activation. Where's gonna come Shuto looking for the EX chariot tackle situation. Would love to have a crouch medium kick anti right there. Wasn't tell it's so hard because you want to get that knocked off the EX knees, but if Fudo times it right, gets an easy anti-air. Dash in, but Fudo dashes in too as well against the mirror. There's one more though. Defense jumps out of there. It's fine. One more hit. There it is off the crouching heavy punch. Fudo checking in before he can even come in with the walk-in or dashing situation. And Fudo actually dashing in against the mirror situation. That aggression, that burst of aggression is why he is such a different Poison than the ones you would see like Item and stuff like that, like the hang back. He's so much about that. Just let me get that burst of like that medium, kind of like that Mika play.
Super smart decision also. You know, the crouching heavy punch, like although it was a trade-off for Fudo, because of the fact that he's trading off with like, you know, the whip with the mirror, he's still able to like recover in time and also check Shuto with another crouching heavy punch. In fact, it makes it faster, like at the cost of like a certain amount of life. So that was actually super smart inside of Fudo. looking to replicate those results for the next 2 games. So we'll see what happens. Shuto needs to find an answer. Thus far, Fudo giving him actually a big anti-air opportunity, and Shuto takes it.
Oh, but the back throw, that range on that throw allows her to get outside that distance. The side switch, got the V-trigger activation, could come at any point. Go for the corner carry just for right now. Doesn't even spin the V-trigger to get that victory. Dash up, crush, kick. Here's Shudo with the side switch, of course. All the fireball and the EX share check, or not EX, normal. Saving that bar for that EX fireball. Didn't finish it. That trade will. Shudo getting the kill.
Not too bad at all for Shuto. A lot of pressure against Fudo at the gate, going for a forward dash. Not a single check. EX heart rate. Not too bad of a situation. Jump is the option. Fudo ready for the air reset. Overcommitted to anything afterwards.
Surprising. Not surprising, honestly, the amount of pressure that Fudo's been putting on. And not giving him too much space. He's staying mid-range with this character. That's a punish. This CC cannot be whipping up that crouch fierce or even on block. Easier to catch them on the negative frames. All the trade, but Fudo doesn't get the hit that he wanted. It's still caught in the corner.
Off of this end jab, gets a full counter hit conversion. Go for a dooming position for Fudo, but yeah, we love seeing that trade-off. Shudo on the board. 2 rounds straight, by the way. Pretty convincing. There was a lot to be said in regards to keeping Fudo in the corner. Shuto doing a fantastic job of being impressive.
Yeah, not for nothing. I feel like Fudo has had a good job of like staying mid-range to close range and done a fantastic job of doing that. It's just these mistakes. And Shudo capitalized on these mistakes and putting him in the corner where Poison didn't want to be. Like, she wants to save that V-bar or V-trigger. Doesn't want to have to spin it for V-reversal. Well, she can get a crush V to kick and, you know, obviously cartwheel out of there. But it's not happening like that. Shudo taking advantage of all these whips. Fudo going right back in. And I like that he's not switching the character because it's not about the character. It's about his playstyle. And he's shoring it up. You see the counter hits all coming through. Backing away with that mid-whip play. He's trying to walk in, stops him. The crouch V to kick. Light kick, whip. Ooh, no fierce.
Big old whip punish there from Fudo. After the heart rate, what happens? Yeah, the big throw tech from Shuto. But now trying to deter Fudo, actually faking the heart rate to kind of create some space as well. And now going back to that style, it's either chip or not. Defending against the mirror, not for too long. Mirror dissipates, doesn't really get damaged off of it. No rebuttal from the mirror, I should say.
Shudo still has one more mirror. They call up in the corner is where you want to be as Shudo sends it out just for those plus frames. Locks it down with a double throw. Decent bomb. Another one. Do it to him again. One more time. Or would have worked.
Potentially.
Shudo stay solid.
We thought we were going to get it, but that wasn't the case. Nice work from Fudo. Checking Shudo. Thinking full well that Shudo was going to get a throw bait. Not today.
Great play for Fudo to stay alive. When that bar to go far. We're building that up anyway. I mean, like, Poison's so aggressive. Always be building up bar. No matter where she is on the screen. It whip keeps him out. After the great life. Fudo gives it so much room. Shudo, it feels like his objective is to put you in the corner, press you over and over again. You want to take these trades every so often with walk block. He's okay with this. To make it drop, there's a big crush off that fierce at that distance. Caught him pressing a button. Down the ground you go with the Batista bomb.
It was there. Big trade off. See how Fudo manages to get himself out of the corner this time. Shuto giving a little bit of space for him. I think he's anticipating maybe like a spot to possibly counter poke. And Fudo, well aware that the empty jump was coming, didn't actually budge and try to anti-air him. So very smart decision from Fudo. Ooh, the heart rate bait. A punish into the critical art. More than enough damage. Game number 3 in favor of Fudo.
And oh man, Fudo's plan of building up that EX bar so he can get that super has been ridiculous with it. He's willing to get these whips, and obviously Shudo willing to walk and block to get him into the corner and then make the most of that opportunity. However, this is allowing Fudo just to build up that bar, get these CA finishes that we typically see from him either way. And that burst of aggression that he has ever so often is enough to put Shudo off his game plan. And now we see him go back to probably the character select to slow things down because Fudo has been on a tear. He is heated up. He is on fire. You got to cool him off a little bit.
Looking at how things have gone, I don't blame Shuto for taking a backseat to kind of reassess 2-1 thus far. Shuto had found the rebuttal in game number 2, fell a little bit short trying to dissect what Fudo wants to do, but it's just been so difficult to maintain that kind of strategy, or at least a counter strategy against someone like Fudo, who's changed it up until game 3. It's been so difficult to even try to keep Fudo contained, right? We've seen more often than not Fudo work his way out of the corner against Shuto, not afraid to either take the risk for a jump in or even try to like fight his way out with whips, always being within the right ranges to one chip damage Shuto away, also to kind of deter him with like some of the standing BDM kicks. I think Fudo's understanding of like the footsie game is stronger, a little bit stronger than Shuto's, so Shuto doesn't want to overextend, doesn't want to get whiff punished for it, hence why he's been backing off instead of applying appropriate pressure into the corner.
And it's not for nothing that Fudo chases him down. He doesn't give up too much ground. Like, I feel like Fudo wants to be in that mid-range to close range ever so often, just enough to deter Shuto from stocking with the V-skill. We haven't even seen that come into play against that armor. That armor that would be capable of like cutting through some of these normals and some of these situations to allow that pressure sequence to happen. Fudo deters that, and as soon as he has the EX bar, you're so afraid to even do so. There's a lot of recovery on it. If you do get that stocked up, you might be eating a ton of damage to put in the blender. So we'll see right here who is going to get cooked, as Fudo is already up 2 games. See what Shuto's going to do.
It's game time here. 2 games for the side of Fudo. Just needs 1 more to get that big 30-point victory over Saishun Sol Kumamoto.
Dash up again. Fudo, one of the types to keep that mid-range game, so you never know if he's going to go dash in, crouch medium kick, dash in, medium punch, get a counter hit, and apply some damage. So much of the screen, and Fudo knows it.
What a backdash call out, but still trying to go for the throw. Shuto gets his teched. Fudo still working his way out of the corner, checking with the low medium kicks to kind of prevent Shuto from moving on in, but still going to do it anyway. EX tackle finding the mark. And you see the range that Fudo's playing at. Crouching heavy punch finds the mark. Molotov cooking him up just a little bit. Yeah, forcing the barbecue to him.
Your situation had the buffer behind it. And no throw though. Fudo been teching for damn dear life, as he knows one good sequence and a super could seal it. May not happen here. Roll punch into the chariot tackle. One more hit will do it. Fudo, I like this lane play. Don't overextend to get the win. A lot of seconds to play with time is a resource too as well. Don't have to overextend.
And still wigging up with the button. Fudo has no fear off of that standing jab. He does need 1 confirm to go into critical art. 15 seconds on the clock. Shuto is actually going to play back, or so we thought. EX chariot tackle, catching Fudo off guard.
It's an itch they have to scratch ever so often. I got to run this. Catching Fudo to try to come in again. That burst of aggression that he'd like to do has to be worried about that EX bar at the bottom for that EX chariot tackle. Jump, just to have the idea of like, if you try to come through, I will neutral jump you, but still the shoulder tackle. Back throw though. Fudo waking up with a lot of options, rotating those options continuously. It's hardly just blocked, to be honest. Wake up button, wake up back throw.
Oh man.
Good punish.
Power bomb. Counter hit, no conversion off of that from Shuto, and man, like clockwork, Fudo, once he finds an opening, he makes it hurt so much. Ugh, critical art. What happens now, though? We do have trigger on deck for Fudo.
For the V reversal and the V shift. Careful of the mirror. I just said careful as he falls into it. Shuto takes advantage, was so ready instead. Even he's probably like, dang, I got those? Of course I got those. I was born for this.
To be fair, Fudo had tried to hit Shuto on the way down to kind of like, one, he was navigating his way away from the mirror, and then, you know, in that jump back instance, Shuto would have been able to like juggle or at least like anti-air correctly. So thinking 2 steps ahead, Fudo was trying to at least get like maybe a trade interaction from Shuto, but that wasn't the case. Shuto definitely well prepared and pulled it over with his teammates, actually. I don't know if he had anticipated that or he just like intentionally was just sitting there to block, but very impressive. Super impressive play from Shuto. 2-2 all tied up.
Shuto just took that little bit of break and wound down Fudo for a bit, and those share tackles every so often are catching that advancing movement from Fudo, and I feel like it's catching him off this game. Block, try to take the turn back, but just like that, Fudo is going to interrupt that negative situation. No anti-air, didn't cancel time to stay fine. Shuto with the jump fierce. Greasing up that cranium.
Watch out now. Oh, that actually hit on the way over. Shuto now in control. Actually punishes the whip on its way out. That was actually kind of sick. I don't know if the fierce, the standing heavy punch from Fudo was just out of range, or if the mirror actually punished the whip before it actually got its active frames out.
Either way, Shuto said that this is for that express reason to deny the activation in general. So he was looking for that either way. So perfect spacing for this place. Now the one on set point, routing it back when it seemed like the break. Can he finish the job though? This is Fudo. Come back from worse.
I'm totally okay with fighting out of this corner as well. V-shift break, now creating some space, dashing up twice, pretty much mid-screen. Man, Shuto firing in that medium punch from so far away. That was a big buffer. Putting Fudo right back into the corner. A lot of mediums in play.
Medium punch.
Ooh!
Anti right there.
Still got to anti-air
Double
Fudo
EX
with the neutral
bar.
jump.
One more hit will do it.
Watch out.
And the fade away, the finesse and bless. Shuto's gonna put him to rest and take down Fudo. Again, he was born for this straight out the gate, ready to take down Fudo.
Man, and he is going in. He is actually going in. He is popping off. That is so sick. My man was like yelling in the microphone. They had to cut the camera. Man was too wild out here. But I will say that last instance where Fudo had anticipated maybe like an advancing normal from Shuto was what caused that downfall. Shuto 100% ready for the anti-air, especially in that corner. That just led to so much. Shuto taking it as the big point earner for Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto. 30 points. Taking a look at the current leaderboard again, Nagoya Oja Body Star having a phenomenal season thus far. They were in third place. They get themselves 190 points, exactly where Shinobiism Gaming was before. But for Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, that shoots them up to 160 points. That leaves them just under Gyogun by 5 points. Pretty impressive thus far, getting at least one rank up higher. They actually overtake V6 Plus FAV Gaming in their spot within the top 6 for the playoffs.
This is not what we saw before. Oja had beat Seoul 30-10. Now it's a reverse situation. Again, it's so hard to call you. If you would have looked at this prior, I think a lot of people would have said, Nagoya Oja Body Star, Milodom, they got Daigo, they got Fudo, they gonna take this. You know, only really Higuchi have been really working on the side of Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto for many people's eyes, and maybe not in every single case, but we saw the big breadwinner earner for Higuchi, and maybe not so much else for the other players. But now you see them coming through that second win after that second part of the season, and oh man, is it a different sort of play. And again, anybody can take it in these teams if they have the right strategy, the right place with the characters. And Shudo says, you gonna notice me, you gonna remember me.
I love the way that this team has been playing overall. Really excited to see whether or not they make it within the top 6, because this is the kind of momentum they need shifting in their favor for the second half of it, right? We're getting a couple of words from Nemo, their captain, who actually got that big W to start things off with the Gil against Akira, the Speed Star, right? Their captain from Nagoya Oja Body Star falling short was a pretty pivotal blow for the rest of the team, I should say. Nemo finding that confidence in Gil is exactly what I wanted to see, to be honest with you. Okay, I was wondering what the switch of headset was with the team. It caught me off guard a little bit, but as it stands right now, I think Nemo was talking about his tidbit. He was talking about being able to practice against Cammy really well, hence why he decided to go up front against Akira. From last year, he was practicing against Cammy because there hasn't been a lot of like big significant changes for Cammy in regards to like buffs, right? There's more like changes of her being toned down. So having that practice going into like the further seasons is always going to pay off, right? But I'd imagine, yeah, Nemo pulling out that guild. That was, did you ever see that coming? Like I didn't even get to see him exercise that on the streams.
barely ever, unless it's like casually having fun, with Gil. Like I feel like it didn't really feel like he was like being serious with that character. Not like saying like he wastes his time, but like there's a difference between really practicing against a matchup and like playing ranked and things like that, having fun with Gil, which I did not expect. So he took a lot of people off guard, including Akira. Higuchi said he had lost, but his team won. If he can win as a team, it makes him feel really good. It makes him want to do better. So again, that team situation is going to help you buff up. Even if you get an L for this time, the next time you come around, you might be 10 times stronger. And I felt like that was the case here, just in general across the board for Team Seoul. They lost, and they're like, okay, next time, see what it do. We'll see what it do. YC Mochi was in the anchor, and he said he thinks he was confident to win against Fudo. I think on paper, Sim does well against Poison. However, the switch to Mika might be too much, so I think that's maybe why they kind of held it back and said, all right, if Shudo really does have an idea of how to fight Fudo, he was really born for this, let him go. He's feeling confident. If you're not saying like you're born for this, I don't know, YC Mochi. So Shudo going up was still the right move.
Yeah, I think there was a lot to be said in regards to like why YC Mochi had been placed as the reserve for this one. I think YC Mochi also was more so talking about the fact that Shuto was the one feeling confident about it. I think I would love to get the context from it if the producer can hear us. I want to know if the context from YC Mochi was saying that he agreed to the decision making of putting Shuto up there in the first place as the anchor because he was confident against playing against Fudo. So yeah, I think YC Mochi, it makes sense for it to be that way only because like the last time Mochi had encountered Fudo, he ended up getting counterpicked with our Mika, right? Let's just say like Mochi, let's say if he had been in the anchor positioning, right? And let's say he takes down the poison for the first match. I think Fudo switching off to our Mika would have been like still a pretty significant favor for Fudo and the like. So I think overall having Shuto show off his match instead was a pretty vital decision for the team to make. And I think YC Mochi was totally okay with that. And Shuto, he's feeling it, man. I'm happy to be living is his first statement. And we talked about that confidence earlier. He adds on by saying, I was calm and didn't think I would lose this.
Ooh, I like that energy. I mean, you're going to have that opposite when it comes to fighting games and have the idea of like, I will beat this other person. Doesn't matter their accolades, doesn't matter who they are. You're going to have that kind of energy. And I like that from Shudo. And being calm just in general against someone that is more of an aggressive poison with a very powerful character. Even if your character's been nerfed and such, like I really like that. And you saw that calmness come through when he took a break, took a second, went to the character select screen and said, okay, what do I have to do better? What am I lacking? What am I slacking in? What do I need to whiff punish? What am I looking out for? And then he was back in the driver's seat. And I felt like those things showcase how calm he was. Even when he's losing, he's like, okay, cool. I get you. Let me take a step back and come back and then see what we can do. So Shuto definitely should be feeling. I feel like he's definitely showcased why Urian is still strong. Obviously, there's some drops from Fudo, but I feel like it was more Shudo outplaying Fudo. Again, let's take a look at the anti-airs. Man was definitely on point, checking the aerial space continuously, 80%. Some on the side of Fudo, but we did see one big jump in off the jump fierce. I feel like that kind of showed that dominance, that turning point for Shudo to dominate not on the lane and the air. At first, it was crouching medium punch to check the aerial space against the EX-Ds, but then that jumping happened where Fudo wasn't ready to cancel the whip stance and the got, and I felt like that was a turning point for Shudo to be like, all right, I can ride this momentum and get this W. Still hard fought, but Shudo taking it in the end.
Yeah, like hard fought indeed. I mean, it went down to the wire, went down to the very last game, but it was 2 rounds straight for Shuto. On behalf of Fudo, though, I mean, like he made a ton of big reads, a ton of big decisions. Like I think a lot of the big reads he made were trying to trade off of the mirror in regards to like there's a couple of instances where he tried to catch Shuto maybe like moving forward in places where he shouldn't, but it was actually Shuto who was 2 steps ahead of him. It's like kind of walked and blocked a good majority of the time and biding his time. It wasn't like a big comeback factor with the mirror. It was more so just kind of like a huge threat, and also very seldomly used as a punish too against the standing heavy punch. We'll see that hopefully in the replay as we get into it. Perfect timing. We see what had happened between Nemo and Akira. Medium kick easily has to be the MVP for this matchup.
Yep, harassing with that button and set up shop for other buttons. Try to dash in after it leaves, light punch right to the face. And then we see obviously the anti-airs come through with the crouch fierce. That was one of the anti-airs that did come through for this character. But again, that medium kick was, again, as you would put it, the MVP of this match with the setup shop. Got the dash in, and Akira just too explosive, actually led to his demise. A lot of effort not coming to fruition, and that super was such a great bait against the V reversal. Costume switch power up didn't do enough. And see the drops right here from Akira. You kind of see that he's a little bit flustered. It led to his demise, not getting the most off the situations that he should as Cammy. If you're not landing those hit confirms, you are not playing Cammy to her full effectiveness. Nemo though doing a really good job of just pressuring and leading the most out of these feature situations, as we pointed out before, and not even just putting the mixes on, just finding hit confirms to finish it.
Then we see the Pride match, Guile versus Guile. Higuchi had talked about in this pregame interview how badly he wants to win this against someone like Daigo, but there's something different about Daigo in preparation for his own character. We've talked about him being the Batman of the FGC. He's always got the advantage so long as he has the prep time, and I gotta say, he's been prepping with Guile for a very long time, right? So just all things considered, I think Shudo did a fantastic job offensively. But I think him playing on the back foot to kind of force Guile to his doorstep, force Daigo to his doorstep so that he's able to find these positions to strike him sooner rather than later was to his detriment, because there was just not enough for Higuchi to stop Daigo's offensive threats in this matchup.
I agree. I think the bar usage too from Daigo is a lot better. You see Higuchi hanging on that bar for the supers, but Daigo will spin that EX bar for these bad situations and a little bit too late to spin that EX bar. And then we see EX bar utilized quite well up in this match. The threat of EX chariot tackle and that in and of itself did a lot of work too as well. We already talked about like the mirror coming into play, not for punishes, but just to kind of put the pressure on later up in the game. Earlier though, Fudo had some good moments, but these big drops also kind of caught him early up in the game. Later on, as things went on, Shudo would save the bar for the extensions for damage or utilize for the chariot tackle just to get in that mid-range. We were hoping to see more of the V skills, but he really didn't even need it. If he had the bar, he could still threaten with that approach. Good confirm right here from Fudo, but it just wasn't enough in totality.
Right. And we see what kind of a threat it was for both the mirrors and the EX tackles. That was that one instance where, Futo thought he had cleared out the mirror and stuffed Shudo, but that was not the case. The mirror, again, being a huge deterrent. It wasn't like necessarily like off of a block normal per se. I think Shuto more often than not had thrown at the mirror just to do it. Just to kind of like put an intimidating presence against Fudo.
Definitely someone to watch out for. You'll definitely remember him. He's definitely an intimidating threat out here. And I didn't prove it in the CPT. He's proven it out here in Street Fighter League. And I feel like he's finally found an even more so better way to play Urien in matches. I feel like he's had the template already, but just keeping that offense steady has been one of his big pain points, and he's found his way to victory. Taking someone down like Fudo is drastic. And again, Dai Shunkan Sol Kumamoto just defeating Oja Body Star in the run back. If you wanted to put these two teams together, especially where they're placed up on the leaderboards, especially when it comes to the characters and the picks and things like that, it would have looked like a little bit more in the Oja Body Star's favor, but not today. Soul really came to play.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, for week number 8, I think for day 1, both of these teams got their justice served, right? Shinobiism Gaming got their W 30-10 against Good 8 Squad, who is the #1 team, and they have been by a long shot for I think the first 5 weeks of the season. They fell a little bit short, actually significantly short against Shinobiism Gaming. So that's very, very important to note that, again, these teams got the run back. Same with Sai Shunkan Sol Kumamoto. They had fallen short against Nagoya Oja Body Stars in a 10-30 deficit, completely switching it around. So I loved seeing how much of an impact it has when getting these run backs, right? Being able to dissect and digest all the information that has been given in the first set and finally utilizing the home advantage, some of these orders to your advantage, not necessarily just the home field advantage, right? Because Good 8 Squad, Nagoya Ojo was in away side. So as it stands right now, we see the big cutoff. It's within the top teams, the top, 5? I thought it was 6. But either way, we're taking a look at Good 8 Squad within earshot of Shinobiism Gaming with a 30-point lead. Nagoya Oja Body Star with 190. Gyogen 165. Saishunkan Sol with 160. V6 with 130. Kabufa Detonation with 100. Down below, Hiroshima Team Ikuza with 55. Still a long, tough uphill battle for the team in 8th, but as it stands right now, we still have so much more to go through, especially with what's coming up next week for our scheduling.
Yeah, we're not done with runbacks, not done with the clapbacks, and we're not done with more Street Fighter 5 action. Team Detonation going up against FAV. Let's see if they can get more points to get that qualification seat. Remember, they were the winner of Street Fighter League last year. And then Gyogun go up against Team Itsuka. Can they dig themselves out of the ditch? They have been losing, and it's not because they don't have the pedigree. You see, they definitely have some great players, but it's just such strong competition out here at Street Fighter League Japan. You can see all of the scheduling right here for Street Fighter League Japan coming up week after week. We're only in the second half. We just started the second half, I should say, but that means run back after run back, and that means it's hard to call who's going to take it on the day.
Yeah, again, you guys want to make sure to mark your calendars. Outside of this, we also have Street Fighter League US happening at 4 p.m. PST. St. Cola and I will see you guys for the next one, Street Fighter League Japan. We hope you guys have enjoyed. Take care. We'll see you all for the next one.